On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, talking to you about, well, just all kinds of things, really. Evocation Festival, Ordeal Call IV trailer, and Ilya's Karakuri Castle started, so you too can now fail the Wipeout course. Hello, I am one of your color commentators, Omega. With me as always, my fellow commentator, Lucky.
Sorry, I was accidentally pushing buttons and I hit the soundboard. I hope that did not come across.
No, I don't think we heard anything.
Okay, good. It was just the preview then. Whew. But I hope everyone is enjoying FateGrand Order, aka Fun with Puppets. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EM versions of the game. So anyone not wanting spoilers should remember your court appearance date. It's very important.
Yes, don't miss those. And I'm here before we get into the meat of the show to remind you that this episode is brought to you by viewers like you. Because yes, those PBS intros were super formative to me. But also includes our patrons, who I will give a shout out later. But particularly this week, consider supporting us on Patreon. You know, at the 10 or 20 level, you get access to the recording channel, so you can listen to these get recorded live. That also includes the pre-show, where I think we yapped for like 20 or 30 minutes.
No, it was like 50 minutes, my dude.
Was it actually? I know we were in here for a while, but I don't know if we were actually talking for a little bit. A lot of the patrons, you guys did show up fast, so it might be more like 40 or 50.
No, it was unfortunately my fault because Lucky saw a hot take on the internet and had to go run over here and tell you guys and feel vindicated in my reaction.
But hey, if that sounds interesting to you, like I said, support us on Patreon. Every week, all weeks, we're here. Have a little bit of pre-show, sometimes have a post-show, and we'll see what happens. But that means it's time to check in with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mesh.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it is time for our regular segment for Pro Tips. Wake the fuck up, Senpai! Because I can drop an F-bomb like 2 minutes into the show.
Woo.
So, this week, this is a little bit of breaking news, but I have seen multiple people report this in our own Discord. Hey, Discord links in the video description on our channel page. That apparently there is a bit of a bug, so you can do the 100 boxes roll right away, but some people are experiencing a bug where the game freezes after doing that, and you gotta close and reopen the app. So, be careful about that. I have personally not tested this because that would require me to have enough mats to roll 100 boxes, which we are not doing. Though I am technically farming as we speak.
Lucky's about to start farming as we speak.
Yay.
Yay!
But yeah, a little behind on starting the event in depth. We may talk about that a little more later. I will say, this probably be the time to blab about it or like way later, so we can do it now. But like this event, I do like that we're basically continuing on directly from kind of the lineage of the jokes in Morganfest.
Literally.
But also, man, the intro was long.
It was, but it's one of those things. It's long, but I'm rather it be a bit long than a bit short.
Yeah, because it's like I don't really know what they could do better, because obviously, like, almost every NeroFest event or style event has these like level of jokes in the team comps and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But many previous years have mostly left it to just you to pick up on the jokes in the in the actual fight. This and Morganfest are both doing the thing where like we're setting up all of our jokes ahead of time. Which, yeah, it gets a little long-winded, but also it is nice to actually have them set up the joke, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes set up. I didn't realize until I was doing the thumbnail today, but the first two fights are references to the CE, or the CE is references to the first two fights. It's slightly hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because, you have a fight where you have Odysseus and Evocation, and another one where you have Ushi and Vitra in there. I was like, oh, neat. And again, I wish we did this more often, but having the fucking ticker tape just with the commentaries, I love this. I love this so much.
Yeah,
I loved it when we had.
Did we have that in Morganfest?
I don't know if we had that in Morganfest, but I remember it in our last summer because they did park announcements.
Yeah, the ticker tape feature they've had that since the Semiramis Valentine's event, but they use it infrequently. But like, it's a real great addition.
No, like. We can probably talk a little bit more about it when we get there, but no, like, I've never been super gung-ho on Lotto events just because unless you are using some sort of automation to take up way too much of your time, especially once you start burning apples. But like, I I guess I want to say is that I like that they've made me able to feel a little bit more invested in the event, other than just constantly repeating the same mechanics over and over and over again for loots.
Honestly, I wonder if that's why they kind of shifted the writing to like try and give you more story, because I would expect that probably the Japanese audience and the broader audience of FGO is also just as tired of doing lottos the same as you are, because it's like, hey, this game is really well known for its great writing and character development. What's this? An event where for 2 weeks you just smash the same buttons over and over and over again and pray you get a fucking drop? The drop part still happens. But yeah, we can touch on that a little more later, but that does mean that we move on from pro tips. Again, no records or evils. This is a permanent servant. We're not going crazy right now. We have shit to worry about. So that means that we move on to Did You Finish Your Master Missions? To complete this week's Missions of the Master, that's you. You need to defeat 3 servants with the Heaven attribute, defeat 3 servants with the Good alignment, defeat 15 each of female and humanoid trait enemies, and then get 2 skill gems or statues, and then 4 skill gems or statues out of drops. I am reasonably certain, even though I have not actually run through each of the quests one time, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be able to accomplish all of these doing the event. So do the event, as we say. At the very least, the humanoid one is real easy with servants. But that does mean that we will move on to Skelligrams. A little brief this week, but we do have a few. JP continuing to kill time before Ordeal Call IV drops, which is not a separate note, but as I did mention in the intro, they put out a new trailer for, calling it Overture.
Yes.
New CM. That's nice. We have detected, Dante, Jean, people, I think, identified this character, but I don't know what he is, and I'm not necessarily asking you to spoil the Samurai Remnant event, but there's the turban guy from the Samurai Remnant event.
Yarp.
And also the headliner character, which most of us are assuming is... Sorry, I had to fight my personal brain rot there. I was going to say Lilith Eve, commence Ordeal Call mission. Sorry, the Hayam Daisy comic is fucking burned in there deep. But yeah, something like that. So, looking good. There's some, some heaven and some hell type imagery. There's some,
rock.
Yeah. There's some big buildings, which could be courthouses. You never know. So we'll see what's up. Probably by, definitely by this time next week, we should have something, because I believe the official release date is the 30th Japan time.
Oh, that means it would probably be the 29th for us, generally. So Tuesday, I want to say?
Yeah, we should probably get some stuff Tuesday, because I'm sure there'll be a release. I don't remember if they have a stream planned. They probably do, because it's JP, but don't know for sure. But to keep time until then, we have, first of all, Berserker Weekly Summoning Campaign number 2, which is going to bring an end to Berserkers. Started the 21st, goes until the 28th. Got all the usual stuff you expect. Extra EXP, dailies are open. They've got a trial quest where you can test out Berserkers, so on and so forth. And your banners are going to be Arjuna Altar, Atalante Altar, Lubu, Summer Musashi, Kyokoyo Darius, age 3, Galatea, Summer Bryn, Kiyohime, Morgan, Summer Sei, Mori Nagayoshi. Then we've also got Summer Ibuki, Kremhild, Lubu. That's a fun one. Sennorikyu, Giordana, and Darius. Summer Castoria, who, yes, if you'll recall, is still called Castor Artoria Berserker on the wiki. I really am curious how we're going to handle that one this summer. With Shinpachi and Kiyohime again, and then ending it with Lohi, Herc, Mori Nagayoshi.
Yeah, Lohi, rate up. It's only been 4 months.
Yeah, no, like I said, we're not redoing like brand new servants if they've just been released, but like if it's been longer than like 3 months, we're getting you. You're getting a banner. So that is Berserkers. We're being very aggressive to make sure everybody who hasn't gotten a rate up this calendar year gets a rate up this calendar year. But also, they have something else that is, vaguely resembling content for you to do, which is Evocation Festival Part 12. Starting the 23rd, going until the 7th of May. This is adding Ranmaru X, Cinder Ellie, and 9 Dragon Liz. So first of all, I'm pretty sure this means that every single Welfare Liz is now on the squad.
Yeah. If they went, because I think they went in sequential order, and, Cinderella and 9 Dragons are the last one, which clearly means that we're finally getting Elizabeth Japan this Halloween. Clearly.
God, we can only hope. Takuchi says we've got a lot of fan favorites to clear out. I'd love to see it return to Oni Land. But yeah, so fire up all of those. This is also pretty interesting because we just did the rerun of the event, which should have included Rimuru X anyway, so this is like a double-pronged if you missed her.
Mm-hmm.
So fun times. There's now been 2 of these Evocation Festivals, now titled Pilgrimage Festivals, coming over here, so you guys should be starting to be familiar with the song and dance, but there's going to be limited time master missions to do, a handful of stuff related to general resource gathering and working with the new servants, but also there's login bonuses, including a commemorative CE. I don't remember exactly when they started it, but they have promo images for all of the Pilgrimage Festivals upcoming. It's just that they didn't turn them into CEs until a little bit of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
But and so they like backfill them. But now they're doing it concurrent. And we've also got all the stuff you would expect: double EXP for the servants, double suck chance for everybody, half AP dailies, 20% bond for those 3 servants. They also get a 20% damage bonus overall. So combined with the Berserker stuff as well, you're just in great time to be farming. Which is probably good, because there's a new story chapter coming up, and we can only assume that it's probably going to be a pain in the ass.
For your heart and your mind.
And, of course, to wrap up our news, no actual, new news with the release, but we do have Ilya's Karakuri Castle, Kashin Koji's Modest Ambition, starting the 24th, going until the 7th of May also for us, which I do believe gives us probably a little bit of downtime before they fire Ordeal Call.
A little bit.
Give you some new dailies to get into. But yeah, and in case, I think this was a question people had when the event was actually announced in JP the first time. If you're curious why it's called, Ilya's Karakuri Castle, I'm pretty sure this is meant to be a send-up of Takeshi's Castle.
I mean, they almost name drop it in the event. Come on.
Yeah, we don't say the name because that's, an old brand. But Takeshi's Castle is both a classic Japanese game show full of, all of the bullshit games you would expect, but also did get a decent international release. Like people all across the world may or may not remember it in some format. Obviously, in America, it got, kind of sort of Power Rangered. They redubbed it.
Yeah.
But they reused all the footage for MXC.
Yep. That's where I first saw it.
Yeah.
It was funny.
So people know what's up. But yeah, this definitely seems inspired by that. But that is our dates for the release. If you did somehow miss it, sorry, I just also tabbed over and saw the GIF, perfectly timed. Just clunk. Hold on, I gotta hold on to the For My Homies one. That's good. We need that. But yeah, no, this is definitely that sort of energy.
He's now gonna spend the next 15 minutes posting Takeshi Castle gifts. You are not welcome.
Once again, reasons you should check out Patreon. You can see the gifts at any level of our Patreon. But yeah, what I was gonna say before I got distracted by gifts was, if you haven't seen it, I did put out a wanted. It was 12 hours late. I was not in a super mega rush to release it because it was a permanent servant. Means we don't get as much traction on those, but if you did miss it, go ahead and check it out. Learn a little about Kashin Koji. And, we'll see. And obviously, I've asked people before, and I have been told by the audience that people are okay if, Wanted doesn't necessarily have to be day and date with when the banner releases for the core audience to be satisfied. I think just our search engine optimization would like that better. But, like I said, permanents are usually much less in demand than limiteds, and obviously the videos for Draco and Tiamat were way bigger and way more tentpole-y. As I did bust my chops a little to get out, make sure we're running in a timely fashion. Hell, I think I overcompensated. I had the Tiamat one done ages ahead of time because they were really teasing us with that banner release. But that's it for the news. I'll see you after the flip for the return for Fanservant Friday. I've remembered to pull all my documents and have it set up ahead of time on the correct day.
Yay. So, with that, it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag. The segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. Yay! This week, let me get one last refresh in here just to make sure. All right, this week we have 10 lovely comments. That is quite a bit more than usual, I will say. But we'll get through them all. We're not quitters here. And so, at the top, we start with Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, "Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week, just sending good vibes, wah, 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 and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Now, back to the moon. Don't worry, we got freaking cosmic exploration. First impressions coming later.
Moon.
Boy howdy. Next up, we got the 100-hour man who has already hit 20 boxes somehow. Don't you somehow me. You put in a lot of time and effort, that's how. Don't you short yourself like that, how dare. Oh god, you wrote paragraphs, son of a bitch. Anyway, they say, Dear Lucky and Omega, hope the two of you are having a fantastic week. So, next week marks the end of my busy season, and where I will no longer be doing crazy hours. I started episode 1 of Let's Talk FGO in January, and I'm about the start of LB4 in English. Wow. Once again, I have to say thank you both for all the years of amazing content that has kept me sane over the past plus 3 months. I don't know if you're sane, my dude. You have watched... God, I don't even know how much. In 3+ months. You crazy.
Yeah, that was
But-
3 Lost Belts ago. Was that like 2 years ago? 4?
But, they say, so closing this chapter of my life is making me think about another chapter of my life coming to an end. FGO has been a huge part of my life for the last 8 years, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to see it go. I might in 2 years from now, but I feel too invested right now to want to see this section close. When the Lost Belts were originally coming out, you two often brought up how you thought there would be a part 3. More recently, you both seem more along the lines that the game should end in favor of a break before FGO 2 comes out. My question for you all is, when did you make the switch from how you originally felt to how you feel now? Well, the funny thing is I don't necessarily think we've necessarily changed in our mindset. I think it's something that you can only really experience from kind of maybe being a day one player, and maybe even so. But when you have sat through and been with FGO, NA, the entire experience, you can look back and just seen all the weirdness and the jank and such things in the game, and realize that the game, not the story, the game may be reaching its breaking point and what we can do with it. That's why, like, even though I do think there is still stories to be told and stuff, like, I still think there should be a quote unquote part 3. I don't think that the game engine, the game system that we have now is the best for it. So I want, and again, people who like over at La Single and whatnot have been working and burning themselves off, and, you know, they went through COVID, they've been going through all these ups and downs, and like, maybe they need a chance to take a break themselves.
Yeah, you know, relax a little, go in the tank, and stop working on content constantly.
No, like, complete side tangent, but Nikkei has just gotten into its 2.5 anniversary. They had a big stream for it, and one of the things they always do is they always do a developer's commentary, where the director and, you know, like, I think like usually like five others? Yeah. So a total of 6 of them just get on and they talk about Nikkei for a little bit. And in this last developer's commentary, they were talking about, how do you guys keep going? How do you push past creative blocks and whatnot when you're developing the game? And the director said, like, everyone has their own ways of like dealing with those creative blocks. Some of them just, you know, need to think it through. Some of them people need to take a break. But they actually have this as their company policy. There are 2 non-negotiable things that you have to do while you're in this sector. Is 1, you have to love Nikkei. You have to love the game. And 2, you have to love games and anime and things and other things like it. And like, I was like, yeah, like, I was like, I really like that really resonated with me, because it's like applying that to FGO. Like, these guys have been in the tank for who knows how long. Who knows how long they've been going on this. Like, I need, like, sometimes in order to like something to like really love something, you have to take a step back and give it space to breathe. Give yourself space to breathe. Come back in with a fresh start. Because if you just keep digging, you're eventually going to run out, and then where you're going to be? You're just going to keep digging more? No, that's horrible. So, no, I think FGO, like, I think there should be a part 3. Going to taking a break, doing a whole new game, and then going to a part 3 would be better for everyone involved. The devs, the consumers, all that stuff. I know people are going to be upset, but all the Saint Courts I spent on this game, it's like, guy, the minute you spent your money on that, it's gone. It's gone forever. It's like you weren't getting it back. Honestly, that's like why I try to tell people. Like the minute I spend money on a gacha game, whether I get the what I want or not, it's gone. And whatnot. So a lot of people have like, investment and stuff because they spent so much time and money on it, but it's got to end at some point. And while like I said, I'm repeating myself again here. And while I do not think the story is over, we need to turn off the machine and turn it back on again. We need to update. We need to be better, faster, stronger.
Yeah, like, I don't know exactly when the time we switch, and I do agree, though, like, when I read this comment, I'm like, yeah, that does sound like there was a turn for us. At some point, we stopped calling it Part 3 and started calling it FGO2. One of that is, I think, just this game has been out so long that the market changed. There's been stuff like Girls Frontline 2, and I know that, like, several other games have started doing, like, iterative sequels, right? Like, or side games, like, the Arknights team is working on several stuff. Like, that's just, like, something that happened was that, like, gacha games can have sequels, basically, which usually involve, engine switches and stuff like that. The second was that, like, I think the point for me where just, like, I switched from, like, thinking, like, oh, yeah, for sure, we'll have a Part 3 story, and being, like, we really should get a new app is what we should do, was, like, probably somewhere in the point where, like, we got a little lost in the sauce, and, like, there weren't 7 Lost Belt chapters back to back, basically. Like we had Lost Belt 5 was split into 2 parts that had a delay, and we had 2.5 chapters. So somewhere in the middle there, the story structure of Part 2 changed from being a mirror of Part 1, but with, more story writing and longer term stuff going on. But, like, also or rather, then the structure changed to being like, no, this is a lot longer. It's taking longer to tell the stories, but it's taking longer to get the chapters out. And then, obviously, around a couple years ago, when we did LB7 and that wasn't it, we had to actually, like, switch gears into Ordeal Call. It's like, okay, no, we're changing the build up to, like, this is not just a cyclical story we keep releasing, but also, we are moving towards a conclusion of, basically. So, like, for me, it was definitely somewhere in there that, like, the vibs shifted.
The vibs.
Yeah. So, like, it's and it is interesting. I wonder if, this person obviously listening back, like, they're saying that are right around Lost Belt 4 in English, so that would be 2 years back from JP, so that probably would be, like, definitely after 5.5, and probably, like, around when 7 and Ordeal Call was dropping?
No, that
almost
may be
Lost
right.
Belt 6. Okay, so 5.5 happened, and we're doing 6, which was marked by a lot of delays. So yeah, that would definitely be the point, I think, where we would be around the idea of, like, yes, this is taking longer than we thought it would, maybe.
No. Guys, I'm going to let you on a little secret. The best stories are the ones that end.
Yeah, you can't have stories run forever. But like I said, especially now, like, playing Girls Frontline 2, I'm not caught up with the complete story of Girls Frontline, but I think what Girls Frontline 2 Exilium is doing as a sequel is really good. Like, they actually, I know they had some rough patches with some of their side events, but, like, they did a pretty good handling of the core writing conceit of, like, okay, we're doing a sequel game. What do we do? How do we do this? Okay, we'll come up with a situation where our main character is kind of boiled down to a very limited number of starting characters again, and we put them in a situation where, we take them for where they were riding high. We're gonna lay them low again and set this up, but also, like, play to, their personal story. All this shit with, like, Paradias and stuff was not, like, anywhere where I actually got in Girls Frontline 1, but because I can read, I can understand, like, nah, those guys fucked with our steez 10 years ago. We're gonna get their ass. Those fuckers deserve to die. And the writing does a very good job of laying out that, like, no, these guys suck ass. Please kill them all. And I'm just like, yes. Specifically tell Colfine, who is based on a tiny Brazilian gun, yes, destroy them all.
Go do a crime.
Yeah, so like no, definitely like as a personal player, the way Girls Fronting 2 has been handling it really made me go like, oh yeah, no, I really hope FGO takes some notes from this because like the original Girls Frontline isn't over. The client is still accessible in certain areas, and they are doing like a Steam port. They are like wrapping it up, so like I think there's some room for some development overlap. But also they've done a good job of like keeping the characters in continuity and like giving you some new shit to work with. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is solid. This is very solid. Though for FGO 2, I kind of hope we don't do the thing that loads of gacha games do, where we decide to make up like 5 to 7 differently colored elements and assign those to everybody.
No, let's not.
I kind of like the technically they've been doing kind of the arts quick buster thing for a while.
Well, I mean, we have our multiple elements. They're the fucking class containers.
Yeah, no, I mean that's kind of how the game actually does it as well. So yeah, no, that's please keep with that already. We've got loads of classes.
No, like I said, I think I know we have talked at length what I would like to see in a FGO 2. So we will not necessarily reharp on that. But I think we have said
Long comment
all we
gets
need to
long
say on
response. Yeah.
All right, so thank you very much. We are going to moveth on it. This next one comes from the Tyrant King, who needs a lot of blessings in order to pull what he wants in his case of cards. What do you need? You order like a full box? You can't see it. Lucky did they make a box gesture with his hand? It was 2 hands on top. They went out to the side, down, came back into the middle.
I like how you started saying nobody could see, but I did, and my brain instantly pictured you doing the gesture you just described. So it kind of worked psychically.
Yeah, 20 boxes. Wow.
Getting a case. God, cases are expensive.
How much does that cost? Are you reselling?
Cases are big. They're usually around 4 figures. Low 4 figures,
Wow.
but like we usually make the jump from 3 to 4.
Well,
It's rough.
I hope you get what you want out of that, Jesus. Anyway, they say, question. Hey guys, with a now unexpected trailer dropping, do you have any guesses on the 4/5 stars of the banners? Also, any movies you have been looking forward to this summer? Anyway, that's it for me. Good vibes your way. Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening. The joke I want to make immediately is, yes, I'm looking forward to the movie Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Upcoming movies? No. Like, I'm a horrible movie watcher. There's a lot of times I'm like, yeah, I should go to the movies and see that. I never do. There's still like a lot of movies I want to see, but I never remember them, and now I can't remember. The only movie that I still know that is a login for me that I want to go see is I want to go see the indie animated feature Flow. I've heard that's really good, and I've seen a bit of the animation. I love the animation. It's so good.
Looking very good, yeah. I probably won't go to see it. I mean, naturally, it's me, but I probably wouldn't go see it in the theater. But I mean, I'm not a big like 28X later guy, but their trailers are really good. Yeah, 28 years later. That's June, so that's summer. I'll probably wait for that to be a home release and watch it, by myself in the dark. But like that we're tracking. But like I'm scrolling and I'm like, I'm looking at a list of movies coming out, and I'm like, I don't know. The new Naked Gun could be good. They got Liam Neeson to lead it. Probably a good pick.
If we're doing well. It looks like they're actually being, silly and stupid with it, which is Naked Gun.
Yeah, I think they understand the prompt.
Yeah.
But I don't really see any other movies that come out. And I know some people will be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to be honest. Not super excited for the new Superman. The Jurassic World stuff has kind of lost me. They got a little too lost in the sauce with the past few of those. Nobody fucking wants to see the live-action Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah, thankfully, Disney has apparently learned to listen with the Snow White flop. Apparently.
Yeah, Snow White kicked their ass. I'm hoping we'll see some interesting things. Another movie that's reviewed super well, but is actually out, is Sinners. So the trailers for that did look good. But that's also reviewing very well. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Marvel's Thunderbolts with an asterisk for some fucking reason. I'm like, man, I don't know. It's cool they finally remembered the Void and the Sentry and stuff, but like it's the Thunderbolts is literally like the B and C list team. That's the point. I guess it's got Bucky in it. That might be okay. But like Marvel's real struggling, so like I'm not super caught up on that, and I don't even know most of the other ones that I'm seeing on this list.
No. I used to be a fairly regular moviegoer. I don't know where I lost it. I don't know.
I mean, probably at COVID, if I had to guess.
Actually, yeah.
That really fucked up a lot of people's movie-going experiences and also almost killed theaters. So it's been a kind of a thing for the industry to figure out what the fuck they're doing.
Oh, wait, no, I also wanted to... Another movie I did. I wanted to go see, what was it, Mickey 7? Mickey 11?
7, yeah. I think the book is 11.
Yeah. I've heard good things about that one. I was also considering just getting the book as well.
I mean, at this point, I may just read the book. Now, asking about the banners, I'm going to guess Turban Guy is a 4-star because the woman has to be the 5-star. I understand how we make money. I'm going to guess Super Jean is probably going to be the second banner.
And then we're going to have a secret character show up, and we're going to be like, oh no, we want them.
I'm also very curious if, because it's going to have been a few months, I'm wondering if there's going to be like a third banner that is Dante again, because it will have been like 3 months by that point.
No. But, again, I do not know exactly who the character from the 7 Night Remnant Lib is. Our guess on the poster girl is Lilith, Eve, Lilith/Eve. It's very important that I say the commas. Like I said, I feel like something about, the committer of sin might have something to say about the situation, depending on who you ask, which is why we have to have the comma and the slash. And I want to say Super John, but I'm like, some people have been saying she might be I think she might be in some sort of position of judgment over us. So maybe like Michael or Metatron.
The other term I've heard besides like Super Jean is usually like, oh, Archangel Jean, and I'm just on the one hand I'm like, you just made that up, but also I'm like, that does sound cool though.
It does sound cool.
Like people are just saying shit, but also like. It's good. They got a good vibe.
Well, it's interesting because I remember this from the fucking Memories trailer that John definitely had angels flying by her side or something. So who knows?
Yeah.
But yes, also on this note, people have definitely said, the symbol on the Ordeal Call title is probably references to Jean's command seals on her back that she is supposed to have. Because
of course, it's a fate. We have to show Jean's back at some point. We had to get it in there.
Yeah. But
sorry, Chad, I'm getting a little.
Other than that,
flex my position.
Flex. Other than that, though, unfortunately, I have no idea.
You'll surprise us with something.
I am interested, as always. I'm interested to see what happens, but whatever happens, happens. I did mention this in our JP chat. If it's not Lilith or Lilith Eve or Eve, I'm gonna be super embarrassed and I'm gonna go hide in a hole. I don't know if I know I'm not the only one that said it. When she came out, but I definitely know I was a hard proponent of it. It was maybe one of the first ones who said it in our circle, and I've been shilling this for years now. So if I'm wrong, I've been wrong for several years, and it's very embarrassing. I'll be very embarrassed. So let's everyone pray that Lucky's right. But that done, we move on. This next one comes from a master seeking legal advice from Moriarty, both of them, and on how to define crimes against humanity. Well, it's very easy. You get this card game. It's called Cards Against Humanity. And you play the most unhinged shit you can think of. Those are probably crimes against humanity. But they say, hey, Lucky Omega, I have returned from the abyss of Monster Hunter grinding to join this mailbag. By the way, everyone, Monster Hunter is having their spring event going on right now, the Blossom Festival. Log in for a variety of goods and the ability to craft unique items such as gear sets, feline armor, and other such little goodies. Also, their DLC pack has just come out if you want more spring goodness.
I probably should log back into Monster Hunter.
That was not sponsored by Capcom. They really should have sponsored me. That was a great read. Fuck off.
Capcom, yeah. Send Lucky a box. I don't care about me. I've reached a point in my career goals that my desire would probably be to collab with more cool people. But for companies, I'm no. I don't need free shit. I need companies to send Lucky boxes of shit for him to shill.
I'm pretty good at shilling.
My man's deserves a special Monster Hunter box. Anyway, yes, I need to lock in some time, but there's so many. We'll talk a little bit about it later, I think. But video games are good, and they keep coming out.
How does this happen?
How could this happen to me?
So, with Love About 7 concluded and the final Ordeal Call on the horizon, my question this week is, what meme or lore would you like to see added to FGO before EOS? That's right, the service, baby. For me, I would like Santa Nero, but with a twist, have Draco be Santa instead, with all the hijink that entails. Sending you good vibes, wah 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 wah, and whether it's gacha or farming, happy hunting to all. So I find this question a little weird, because generally I don't need my memes or jokes to be in-game, and if they already in-game, well, they're already in-game. It's like speaking of John, like, even though everyone was, like, everyone was joking about, John Alter and John Alter, Santa Lily being John's sisters for a while, and then one summer, Summer John shows up and it's all like, Onei-chan Beam. It's like, generally I think they're pretty on point with most jokes and memes, and yeah. I could just be unoriginal. Lucky is probably unoriginal. I live by repeating everyone else's jokes. Makes me cry inside. Thanks, fucking J Raptor, for being amazingly funny with you and your gangs. I say your shit all the fucking time, but boy howdy do I feel unoriginal every time I do. So maybe it's not necessarily. No, unfortunately, no. I can't think of any.
This is one of those questions that, like, I understand why people, ask. They're like, oh, what kind of little would you like to see a little meme or lore or gag added before we go? And I'm like, I get it. I don't usually think in those lines. It's just not in my nature to play the what if game like that. Not that I can't rampantly speculate. It just, there's not any point in it because somehow fate will fucking bamboozle me.
Bamboozle.
So, like, if my only note is just that, like, I mean, if she's not going to be in FGO1, she's got to be in FGO2. Toko win.
Yeah, Toko win.
I've realized these guys had the goddamn gall to put a second Kashin Koji's next raid up is the fourth banner of the Mario collab next year, and I'm just like, how dare you? Actually, excuse me. This spider is very cute, but it is not the red one. Give me the blue one. You have to give me the red one. It's required by law.
It's true. It says right here. Lucky shows a piece of paper says that I made it the fuck up. So, we move with on it. This one comes from Agent 418, who was looking for Tia Moms with Lotto Drop CEs in my local support list. Well, I got an MP3 Tia Mom. I should probably put her in my support list. I'll do that. I don't have a lot of CE right now, though.
Mine's on the NP1, but I'll throw in there. I gotta do my fucking list. Forgot about it completely.
I should change my support list. I'll do that myself.
I'm charging my phone.
Well, to say hello, Lucky Omega. P.S. Have a good weekend, y'all. And please don't burn yourself out with farming. Don't you worry about that, buddy. I refuse to burn myself out with lotto farming. I got so much shit to do. So, we move on. This next one comes from Need More QP. Oh, Eternal. But they say, howdy, Lucky and Meg. Hope you're enjoying the lotto so far. No question for me this week. Just got a vroom lotto while listening to the show. Hope you'll have good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. And looking forward to whatever the next reign may hold for everyone. Hey. Yes, we are. I'm very excited. Hopefully this week we'll get back to rain. If something comes up with Dallas, I will throttle it.
I don't often advocate doing the show without him, but we probably could with our next steps get away with a non-Nicola episode.
Yes.
Has he ever linked his character sheet? I could just have him roll to make potions every 5 minutes. Anyway.
But no, I'm also very excited to get back to rain this week. Well, we have been talking fairly extensively about what we want to do and systems that we may not have named. So I think we have a good plan going forward. Of course, this was put forward by Lucky. I made the plan. Everyone's probably going to follow it. We will see where the roles fall.
Well, I mean, I know he hasn't spent as much time elucidating, but I know Aaron's been thinking about rain almost as much as you have. And
oh yeah.
And he at least has talked about how like he said he reviewed the chapter and kind of figured out where what he wanted to happen and what he was saying kind of got mixed up there, which is fair because like I said, we never actually used the rules like for serious before. Anyway, watch Rain. We're caught up.
Yep, and it was posted this week. So we're looking forward to that and whatever the future may bring. Someone it was actually nice. Someone actually left another comment on one of our Rain episodes, getting through the prologue, and said we were doing a good job. So that's
yes, I was just about to bring that up. Brightened my day up.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Especially because they did say that they weren't sure if they were going to enjoy it because there were a lot of characters involved, but they said they followed along, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. Good God, these guys don't even fucking follow the characters sometimes. There's a lot of people in the universe.
There's a lot of people in the universe. I'm excited when I can remember fucking Yibel, fucking Palik, Gridaval. See, I'm already losing it.
He named 3 names.
I'm trying to think more. I'm just trying to think of our fucking own courts. I can't. Gladwin. That was her name. Huntmaster. It's like, Jesus. There's a lot of names and nouns involved in Rain, and it's rough, and we just keep beating more. Omega, I'm gonna be real, we gotta start killing people.
Hey, if that's your solution to make there be less names on the Dramatis, go for it. I'm here for drama.
I don't know how, I don't know why, but people are gonna have to start dying so I can fucking start like thinning out this Dramatis persona.
And that's the secret is I do like every fiction of this type, and I introduce like 20 or 30 named characters from the older generation so that when shit gets real, I can just start systematically scratching out their names with a big black pen. Just be like, this battle, that guy died, and that guy died. This ambush, these 4 people died. If I want to get really serious, we can do shit like, yes, this entire house disappeared overnight when their castle exploded, mysteriously burned down with everybody locked inside.
You see, this is why I feel like we haven't gotten into the real shit in Rain, because people haven't really been dying. I'm gonna be real.
We are still kind of in the ramp up. Like, we're building dramatic tension, but you guys are definitely not at the endgame conflicts. But
we're not.
This is the phase which is like establishing the thread where you guys make your way to the endgame conflict because, you guys need to, as evidenced by your handling of the company rules, if we started like right away in balls to the wall conflict time, this would get rough real fast.
I mean, I want to be against it. You know what they say, nut up or shut up. But no, I think I've talked about this. Like, originally when we set up the game, we set up, we tried to set up some initial conflicts between houses and whatnot. And then what people did immediately is like, we're going to make friends with these people that we're supposed to have problems with. And I just put my hands in my head and was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just because there was like 6 months between session 0 and session 1. Or maybe more like a year. I don't actually remember. It took us a while to get back into it. But there were definitely plot hooks established amongst the crew. And then when we got to the actual play and I tried to bring up these rivalries in play, that players were like, but the conflict. And it's like, my brother in Hydrus, you set up the conflict. I discussed this with all of you guys.
No, we have someone seducing both the twins. We have someone trying to seduce one Espada and befriending the other. And I'm just all like, who am I supposed to fight? I can only fight bandits for so long.
It was like a year, yeah. So maybe they forgot.
Maybe they forgot. You forget it, I forgot. But no, I'm excited because again, I know I mentioned this last week, but I've been wanting to get more into the nitty gritty, the dark, and the dealing, and the dramatic. Not to saying that Enos is not already dramatic, but even more dramatic. I wish to hold someone's life in my hands. Yeah, you guys don't actually understand. Lucky's like I said, I am neurodivergent. I have ADHD. So I like to do the thing where I pace around and I like to recite scenes in my head. For this past week, I've been practicing a scene in which we capture one of the heads of the flat salts and they're brought before Enos and what Enos would say to them. In the meantime, I'm gonna tangent because I'm gonna do the scene for you a little. Bit because this is why I get so hype. So basically, the guy would be captured. Enos would come and be like, "Oh, I see you're already sitting down. Good, excellent. Hello, I'm Enos, Master Ceremonies for House Logi, and you are my new friend. Why are you my new friend? Because you are going to tell me exactly what I want to know. No, this is not a negotiation. No, this is not a demand. It is a simple matter of fact. It's such a matter of fact that if you do not tell me what I want to know, well, there's going to be nothing for it, and I'll just have to go home empty-handed. But on that case, I have another use for you, my new friend. It'll be that I need someone to practice my torture technique on. Yes, I know, it sounds horribly, horribly gauche, but you'd be damned how hard it is to find willing participants to practice torture on. You can never find them anywhere. And here, my new friend, you have provided me an excellent opportunity. It keeps going, but, you get the gist. And so it's like, my week is filled with me doing stuff like that. So you guys, I cannot, overstate how excited I am to get back to Rain and be doing more stuff. I did that scene because I'm pretty sure we're not going to capture a dude and I'm not going to be able to, get him alone in a room while I interrogate / practice my torture on him.
Well, you never know. We'll see.
We'll see.
If not that guy, maybe a future guy.
Maybe a future guy. Oh, is Aaron in here? Aaron is in here. So another thing I was thinking about, if Conrad keeps messing up, I'm going to go tattle on his mom. Tattle to his mom. Because I was wondering, hey, if I make Conrad's mother become a problem, does Conrad get experience?
Yeah, yes. If his problem comes up because you brought it up, yeah.
It was one of those things I was considering. It's like, okay, Conrad's running off a lot. How do I stop this? Tell his mother. Tell his mother of all the dangerous situations he has put himself put himself in, and see what his mother do. Either his mother will become either a lot more controlling or put more eyes on Conrad to keep him safe.
If you want to bait Enos in the sea, you're gonna have to figure out a way to get into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that you couldn't carry him all the way there, but it would be a little bit of a scene.
Mm-hmm.
Also, funnily enough, X, no, you don't have a lot of show to listen to. There's only 50 minutes of it.
We're only at 50 minutes?
55.
55, okay.
I mean, to be fair, we still got like 4 mailbags left.
Well, we were delayed like 50 minutes, Axe. Lucky got on a tangent about people's opinions again, as I always do.
Yeah, we were chilling for a while. I was able to use it as a plug for Patreon. Listen to pre-show.
Yeah.
Pop in and out. Talk about other funny things. Witness our gifts about Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah. But yes, with Rain, I'm saying this again, but I'm going to repeat it because I want people to understand. I'm excited to get back to Rain. I'm also excited us to move back into macro time. We've started making plans for next year. We're still in fucking spring of year, quote unquote 1. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah. No, and we
need to move forward.
And I still have direct vignettes, but you're right. We gotta move along. That's okay. I think I work my own schemes, my own plans to start swiftly regathering everything. I think I will begin by trying to once again get all the player characters back in a relatively same spot.
Yes.
If only just so that Enos has been whatchamacallit, in the workshop for 4 or 5 days. I just need to get him to come out and be like, so this is what you've been doing with your time while I've been gone. This? Just this? Which is nothing, because it has only been 4 days, and technically the Marquis has had a decently successful political tour in this time.
Yes, but I don't think the political tour was the original intent.
No, that's what I'm gonna say. Is it's not like he's been doing nothing, but it definitely was not the dramatic results I think everybody was hoping for when we set out have not appeared as rapidly as we were aiming.
No, you have not done anything yet to during your career. But oh god, what was I gonna? Oh yes, you're talking about you wish to be in macro time as well. Well, this is the thing that I think the best way to explain it is if you want to stay in macro time, you have to deal with things indirectly. This is I think this is where a little bit things got confused. Both you, Logesh, and Conrad went to deal with things directly instead of using vagaries, abstract I don't want to necessarily say objectives because you can be too abstract, unfortunately. There is definitely a fine line.
You are a company with stats, which means that you have legions of nameless, faceless agents to do most things for you. The main thing was that and I want to say I did not discourage this because the main thing was that the team wanted to flex their individual skills first before flexing company stuff, which did, at least the way they wanted to, mean that they had to be, if not on site, be closer to site. Yeah. Conrad was very much turned into the needing to go, or ended up going, I should say, on a personal level involved. No, technically, Logesh and Leslock were kind of loosey-goosey, but it was definitely more of still Logesh was well, you see, I've been working on my economics, so I must do economic things, and I'm well, they haven't invented the telegram yet, which means you have to go everywhere personally if you personally want to get to the records, or you're gonna have to wait for somebody to get it for you. And honestly, probably what I should have just said is encourage the crew to just be just wait a couple days. Just wait for people to get the thing for you. That's because you guys are actually really important. You should not necessarily have to go everywhere personally. You have to wait for people to get things for you, but you could just be like, yes, I demand a copy of your records, and like they'll get there eventually.
No, I think that's the other problem. I think people are like, we're still in that idea of that, every day matters.
Where you're feisty young people where like, yeah, every single day matters.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, like I said, Axe, like technically your original plan of like, going and delivering speeches, while good, was like, that means you did have to be in the neighborhood, but was also a decent abstraction. And honestly, you could have come just home. It's just that the Conrad subplot got a little in the time crunch. Like I said, I have hopefully have plans to reunite everybody. You want to talk about somebody who unironically is killing it at macro time was Nicola, of just like just being like, oh, these guys are out of town for a few days. You know what I'm going to do first? Decorate my new house. I do that. And then just move on. You know what else I'm doing? Whenever I have a little time to myself, making potions. That's it. Like, Dallas actually got the downtime thing locked in. He was like, none of my skills directly apply to what we're doing. All right, I just chill. I do background stuff.
We are. Hopefully we'll get back into more macro time. Hopefully next sesh. I'm hoping that we can resolve whatever is going to happen fairly quickly and get back to macro time. Because I have ideas, I have a plan. If anyone tries to fight me on my plan, I'm going to get very upset and destroy them. But let's move on from there.
I mean, generally, I would, if people disagree with your plan, I would challenge them to hopefully have
a better plan.
Yes. And that's going to be the thing, because that's going to be where there isn't, because not that obviously many of the other players are more busy than Lucky is, but
yes,
that is the advantage of having loads and loads of free time. Is I know you have, not only have you been planning like general vibes, but also mechanically you have been reading the book, looking at the rules, and being like preparing a mechanical game plan.
Yes.
Well, not just, Discord to plan, like I said, like, not that I'm recommending that you look at tabletop RPGs at your job, but that is the other thing, is like Lucky has been canvassing the rules in his downtime as well to like build the plan. So it's one of those things. I should double check with Loth. Like, sometimes Loth surprises me by saying he has actually remembered to read something, but it's rare to back read. Anyway, where are we in the mailbag, actually? That one, okay.
Alright. So, moving on. This next one comes from Soul of the Light Mode Discord, who says, Dear Professor Lucky and Whip Main Omega, no questions, but I did see that both of you played the Indiana Jones games I never got far in as a kid, so I need to put that on the background sometimes. Thanks! Have some good vibes. Wah 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 wah. And keep being great. Yes, the game that we are streaming this week is Indiana Jones, Fate of Atlantis, an early 90s LucasArts adventure game, considered one of the best of its time, and on some list of the greatest games of all time. It was actually quite interesting. We actually reached the part, like I said, the stream was about 3 hours, and we reached the part where I got stumped as a kid, and to my immense embarrassment, I solved the puzzle that stumped me for years as a kid on the first try. It's
okay.
Kind of painful.
You were a kid. It was a long time ago. I mentioned this, and I mentioned this not to make anybody feel old, because it makes me feel the oldest of all, but I did mention that the Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis game is literally older than I am. So, it's been a while. But you did get it, so we were probably good to progress and finish up a route.
Yep, we'll finish up Adventure April with it. Probably only going to have enough time to get through the team's path, but I think that's fine.
We can always revisit if people like are super excited for it. But I don't. It's cool, and we got some decent engagement, but I also don't know how people are excited for that. And then, like I said, I need to ask people after what they would prefer. Like, do we feel like it's time to hit a GAC case again, or is it time for maybe a Sly 2 interlude?
I've been in the driver's seat for a little while. I could see maybe a Sly 2. But we will see. So, moving on, the next one comes from a hunter hunting for a conspiracy. They say, Heyo, Katakuri Omega and Aranea Lucky. Frankly, I hope the both of you are doing better than the nothing I've done so far in this lotto. But, down to my question, it involves how Lost Belt 7 has given us some big reveals in regards to the truths of Chaldea's purpose and the bleaching of the planet. So now knowing the things me and some others in the Discord started thinking about how those reveals might recontextualize previous content, such as Galahad's previous behavior in Lost Room and the start of Lost Belt. So I asked, do you guys think that Galahad knew the full context of Mary Sperry's plan and that's why he acted the way he did, knowing that our humanity was still alive? I'm gonna say definitely, probably, yeah, no.
I mean, it may be a retcon, but at this stage, yes, I think that makes the most sense. That, like, he understood the full breadth of the problem.
And that's why he was all, like, being a little shit to us. Like, I don't actually know, like, how much writing is done in advance. Like, when they start working on Lost Belt, do they know what the ending of Lost Belt's gonna be?
Yeah, I don't actually... I think the question has been asked a little bit, like, in interviews and stuff, but I don't know if they've said for sure. I assume that, like, Nasu knows the broad strokes when they started, but obviously the core content is not written ahead of time yet. I mean, it is written ahead of time, obviously, before it releases, but you know what I mean. Like, there was a lot of talk about how, while Nasu was in the drafting phase, you know, he changed Lost Belt 6, stuff like that. So, like, I don't know how much is locked in ahead of time. Also, just in general, hey, when you're writing, this is usually what they mean by the phrase "kill your darlings." You got to be willing to play a little fast and loose. You know, change ideas that when you're midway through the process, you realize, oh shit, this plays way better. I've heard a lot of people talk about just like general writing vibes, and usually the way people start and finish writing is kind of, I think, two schools of thought. Where basically, like, when you're writing a story, either you know the ending and work backwards, or you just know the beginning and then you kind of like just let the characters flow. Both of which are perfectly reasonable stuff. Just that some people will talk about, you know, feeling the hand of the author in kind of some of those, like, know the ending moments. But in this case, I would say, like, I think Nasu probably knew something like what he wanted to do to end part 2, you know, all those 7-ish years ago or whatever. But like I said, there's no way that the story as planned then is going to be exactly how the text gets written later. But I also think as an author, we've said this before, Nasu's the kind of guy who, like, leaves breadcrumbs for himself, or like squirrels away nuts for winter type shit. Like, even if he can't do something with a cool idea he has right now, he'll, like, plant the seed and come back and pick it up later when he can.
Alright, then on to the next one. The next one comes from Legal Arts Dealer, who says, "Hello, Lucky and Omega. I was wondering how much you look into the future JP news for the games you play, whether you just check on what the upcoming characters are, or you also check out the promotional materials and trailers. I wanted to ask this question since some of the games I played, like Blue Archive and FGO, recently released some big story trailers. Other than that, best of luck with the Lotto boxes." For me, I generally do, like, check out promotional materials for things. Like, you mentioned Blue Archive, like, I have watched their 6th preview several times. It's really fucking rad. I also know that it's probably not actually going to mean anything for me for probably another year. I don't know if they're actually... Well, actually, maybe not a year. It's going to be like 6 months, maybe, before we get to it. And it's like, same with, like... And we're also reaching a time where a lot of, like, the games that are coming out now, we don't actually have, like, delays. Like, this is the big thing for me playing Nikkei right now. It's like, everyone's on the same schedule. I had to, unfortunately, stop playing Snowbreak. It hurts my soul every single fucking time, but, like I said, I just do not have the time to maintain all that level of gacha, but Snowbreak was also that way. It's like, no, we're all on one schedule, everybody. And so, yeah, so if things come out in advance, yeah, I check it out, but, like I said, I usually don't go out on my way. Like, I don't necessarily, like, look into, like, characters or anything. I just say, hey, is there a new character coming out? I see the trailer, I'm like, neat. Well, yes, I do know that Blue Archive is doing another speed up to get us caught up behind JP. I think ours is right now is, like, 6 months behind JP, I think it is. I don't know when we're actually doing the speed up. Cutting off days here and there. Ooh, gonna be intense.
Yeah, like, for FGO mainly, like, yes, usually when a new trailer comes out, like, or even some of the streams, like, I'll watch along, but my grasp of Japanese is extremely rudimentary, you know, barely better than a small child. So, like, I don't understand everything that's going on, which means that I'm usually not spoiled. But, like, promo materials are also kind of, like, open-ended anyway. Sometimes they're a little spoilery, sometimes they're not. But since I don't follow the language, it usually means that, like, when the CM hits, the English version, it's the same. They just added subtitles, so we follow along again then.
Yeah.
Girls Frontline 2 is weird, because that's, like, the only other gacha game that I'm actively, like, pursuing right now. Unless people want to take a certain definition of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. There are gems, and I do open packs. In that case, that's a simultaneous release, and they don't release trailers for new selection packs, because Master Duel is not behind the JP... Actually, no, it is behind the JP version, because it's not contiguous with the OCG, so, yeah. Get my card game news in advance as well. But Girls Frontline 2 is weird because it's not safe to say we are behind the Chinese version, but we're not like behind in the sense that we're like catching up to content. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want for global. I believe several people have been surprised that they've announced that Vector is next. And yes, Vector is next for Girls Frontline 2, in case you were wondering. So yeah, I don't necessarily follow up on that, but I don't even know if it would help if I did.
So with that, we move on to last but not least. This one comes from Just a Fan who says, "No question, only vibe. Womp womp womp. Hope you have a good week." Same to you. Thank you very much. And now I yeet this mailbag. Yeet.
This tab is closed forever.
Forever!
But with the end to mailbag, that means it's time to go into free talk. Was there anything you wanted to follow up with the Karakuri Castle from earlier that we didn't talk about already?
There was something I wanted to bring up, and now I'm not sure if I remember what it was.
Well, I can talk about Hannibal Barca, and you can see if you remember.
Sure, talk about Hannibal Barca.
Because Fan for Fan Servant Friday, yes, I'm doing it correctly on time this time. We're all locked in. The poll went out very reasonably timed. Fan Servant Friday is a section where we do engage on a little bit of fan creation. Though in this case, Hannibal is definitely a servant that exists. We just don't have any stats on him. But he is, like, briefly in Fate Requiem. God knows if any of that's coming out anymore. I think they got, like, 2 light novel volumes, and I haven't heard anything about a third. As an aside, this is another problem that Fate has, is that, like, they have a regular stable of collaborator writers, but they are also very often involved in several other projects as well, including writing for FGO, which might be another good reason to take a break ski, because there's a lot of other media to work on. But Hannibal Barca was picked by our patrons, who at the 5 and up level can access the poll every month for Fan Servant Friday, among other benefits, such as usually getting early access to wanted videos. And this month, the team picked Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, very famous for the Second Punic War. So I'm not going to, like, revamp the entire history of the Punic Wars and the Carthage-Rome conflict. The main thing you need to know is that there was a first Punic War because the Romans were very new to this empire-building thing, and they get a conflict with the Carthaginians from North Africa, a Phoenician trade colony, who were also involved in interests in Sicily mostly, but a little bit of southern Italy. So they got to be fighting. This war was very impactful for Rome because it kind of showed the things that Rome is good at, which is taking other people's ideas and rapidly iterating on them.
Also, never ever fucking giving up.
Yes, they never give up, and thus also, as an extension of never giving up, their ability to replenish their manpower just crazy fucking amounts with raising legions and fleets. Like, at one point during the First Punic War, they lost, like, multiple tens of thousands of boats, and Carthage was like, there's no way those guys will build another fleet. This is as good as in the bag. And then Rome turns around and builds another fucking fleet. Very, very good at managing their manpower. So there are a lot of things out there. I mean, Rome has a lot of dudes because they were from a fertile hill valley in the middle of Italy. They had a lot of supporters. But the second one was a lot funnier because obviously there was a second Punic War because the Romans got a surprise win on the Carthaginians and thus made them sign embarrassing treaties about where they could and could not have influence, and also wanted them to pay back a shitload of silver talents to pay back all their war debt, etc., etc. Which really lets you know that history, time really is a flat circle.
It is.
Because this is a thing that humans constantly do throughout history, is they win wars and they try to make the losers pay for them. And the problem is that just makes the losers really upset and incentivized to do something to not have to pay that off.
Yeah, it's like we had a World War and then a World War II.
Yeah, then we super embarrassed Germany and then allowed a guy who talked about how embarrassed they were by the loss to be like, hey, we should get back our national pride somehow by starting another World War. Because it worked out so good for us the last time. But yeah, no. There were three Punic Wars, by the way. The second one didn't finish it out. But yeah, so the Romans really bloodied Carthage's nose and set them up. So Hannibal's father was Hamilcar. He was a leading Carthaginian general during the First Punic War, who was not killed. And so Hamilcar went off with his son, Hannibal Barca, to the Carthaginian colonies in what is now Spain to fuck up the Iberian tribesmen and start building a little empire there, including a city called New Carthage. So after a lot of military training and army building and practice, Hannibal, who was said to be very similar to his father, took over his father's men after his father was speared by an Iberian tribesman and died in a river. You gotta watch out for rivers, kids. And ultimately set up the conflict with Rome. The most famous thing Hannibal did was, as you may recall, I just said, he was fucking around in Iberia, the Iberian Peninsula, where Spain is. Rome is in the Italian Peninsula. There's quite a lot of fucking mountains in the way. So what does Hannibal do? Hannibal, with his entire team of, I believe, hundreds of thousands of Carthaginian soldiers and Iberian followers, and his war elephants. By the way, he was armed with war elephants. He decides he's going to do the craziest thing imaginable. He's going to take a page from Rome's own book. Rome is thinking, oh, the Carthaginians want to start shit? We'll just build a shitload of boats and send them to Carthage directly. They'll have to recall Hannibal. Hannibal is like, no, I'm going to Rome. So he crosses the Alps, chat, if you've never heard this before. Hannibal crossing the Alps. Very, very famous idea. Loses a shitload of men and elephants, but does it. Crosses the Alps in winter, I think, and emerges in northern Italy. And for like 15 years, fucks around up and down the Italian peninsula, beating the shit out of the Romans multiple times, getting the city-states and provinces in southern Italy to constantly flip back and forth because they would be scared of Hannibal, and then Rome would send some legions and then be like, our bad. And then, Hannibal would come and burn their farms again. Many, many famous battles, several of which we will relate the story in the servant profile, but many classical victories in the war that are arguably still studied to this day. Trebia, Lake Trasimene, Cannae is a huge one. It is believed that, at least in recorded history, the battle at Cannae may be the first ever encirclement battle. Unfortunately, eventually, the Carthaginians in Carthage get so badly kicked that they insist that he come back. Hannibal retreats from Italy, returns to Carthage, to North Africa, and does, unfortunately, lose at the Battle of Zama, where his crew is defeated by Roman tactics. He gets to bum around in Carthage for a little bit, but the Romans are so terrified of him because this guy came to their house and, basically, TP'd their house, put a bag of burning dog shit on their front door, that kind of shit. He never actually besieged the city of Rome itself, because I think Hannibal kind of figured that one would be a bum deal. With their particular brand of national pride, I think there's no way that the Romans would have not fought man, woman, and child to defend the Seven Hills. They were freaks like that. So he just, tried to starve them out and ruin their day. But they were still so, scared of Hannibal that they eventually chased him out of Carthage, where he retired to Greece to hang out. Where he had a famous rivalry with a very famous Roman general, Scipio Africanus, Scipio the Younger, who defeated him at Zama. So the Romans coined the term, Hannibal ad portas. Hannibal is at the gates to kind of like, much like Carthago delenda est, Hannibal ad portas is like a common Roman phrase that they would just say whenever they wanted to be like, man, shit's for real. Hannibal's at the gates, y'all. But there is a very famous story recorded by Appian several years after the Second Punic War. Hannibal was serving as a political advisor to the kingdom of the Seleucids, and Scipio arrived on a diplomatic mission, and they actually got to pal out and talk. And allegedly, Scipio asked Hannibal, who do you think the greatest generals of all time are? So, Hannibal says who the greatest of general is of all time. His number 1 slot, Alexander the Great. His number 2 slot, the Greek king Pyrrhus, who was a very, very great commander, siege of Sparta and all that. Literally, like, invented, like, he is the source of the name Pyrrhic victory. He won some significant battles, but it was such a great cost overall that it meant he lost the war. And then, when asked who he thought the 3rd greatest general of all time was, Hannibal tells Scipio, oh, me, of course. I crossed the Alps. That's crazy. To which apparently the young Scipio was, or not so young at this point, Scipio, but this Scipio was not so pleased. But Scipio asked Hannibal, okay, if I hadn't defeated you, where would you place yourself? And Hannibal said, oh, in that case, I should be before Alexander. This apparently mollified Scipio because, this implied that he may have been a greater commander than Alexander the Great. So lots of great stuff from Hannibal. And I'm going to pause in my discussion here for a sec because Lucky has ghosted a little bit, and I don't know if he's just fighting Avast again. So we're gonna wait and see how this one plays out. Okay, we're back. Pause in the middle there because Lucky had a problem.
Sorry, my internet just spontaneously died.
But we're back.
And it wasn't the Avast problem; it was the whole house.
Rip.
Yeah.
But yes, I was just wrapping up our high level on Hannibal by discussing the recorded incident where Scipio and Hannibal met after the Second Punic War, and Scipio asked him, hey, who are your top three generals? And Hannibal went, Alexander the Great, Pyrrhus, me. And Scipio was like, interesting. Where would you be ranked if I hadn't defeated you? And Hannibal would be like, well, then I would be number 1. Which kind of flatters Scipio.
A good rival is good to have.
So lots of other like fun stuff there. A lot of his like tactics and stuff going on have been studied pretty extensively. So obviously, for a servant as a commander, Hannibal Barca, a rider makes the most sense. He is obviously associated specifically with the war elephants and also just general military stuff. Rider works out pretty well. And also, he did just compare himself to Alexander the Great, Iskander, so that also works as a great fit.
Also super anti-Roman like Boudica, another rider.
Yeah. Very anti-Roman, in fact, as allegedly Hamilcar, his father, made him swear an oath before the temple of Baal, the chief Carthaginian god, to never be a friend of Rome. They took this shit real serious.
Sirs.
So, Hannibal Barca, writer, lawful neutral. He's a historical military commander, Don't need to get too fancy with it. Stats, strength C. Endurance EX, Hannibal, master of the endurance battle. Like I said, this guy was behind enemy lines in Rome for years. Agility C.
The fact that he came over the Alps in the winter to get there, too.
Ugh. Yeah, no. Came over the Alps in the winter and then proceeded to just hang out behind enemy lines. He did some really crazy retreats. I didn't mention it before, but Hannibal probably should have an eye patch because allegedly he got sepsis in one of his eyes because he had to retreat through a gross-ass swamp with his boys at one point to get away from Rome. And apparently when told that his eyeball was real bad, he plucked it from his own head. He was like, fuck it. So Endurance EX, the man's real serious, okay? He's very for real. Agility C, little low for a rider, but again, he's not really like a high-speed, low-drag type fighter. He is a commander with heavy cavalry. Magical power D, not a lot of magical miracles associated with him.
Excuse me.
Luck B+, he was pretty lucky. NP B. Class skills, magic resistance D, pretty typical for writers. They usually get a little bit of magic resistance to start. But writing A, because, yeah.
Elephants.
very powerful war beast. Sorry, I was chewing a cracker there. Need my essential salts back. Personal skills. So, like, obviously, you know, normally, he should have skills like charisma, you know, probably at a B rank, or maybe like a B minus, because while he was never like properly appointed leader of Carthage, he and his father did kind of start a Carthaginian colony in Spain, and, you know, he was beloved enough by his men for them to follow him on his fucking cockamamie scheme to cross the Alps. Don't know.
A lot of them died for it, though.
Oh, yeah, no. A lot of guys fell off the mountain, but they agreed in the first place, which is crazy. Don't know how he swung that one. And also should have a military tactics going with a B minus in this case, because literally I'm pretty sure Iskandar is rank B. So naturally, if he puts himself below, it's a slightly lower level. But these don't actually have to be in the actual like servant stat line, because we've got some extra ones we can bring up as well. Just that definitely they should be in the profile. So first is Encirclement Battle, a B plus skill, a expansion of military tactics. I mentioned it before, but I think you may have already faded out then. But one of the very famous battles that Hannibal is associated with is the Battle of Cannae, and that is described as like possibly one of history's, like recorded history's first pincher attacks or encirclement battles. Where basically Hannibal sets up a strategy where he lures the Roman legions into his vulnerable center, and then using his both sides to envelop and attack the flanks, and eventually resulted in complete encirclement.
Okay.
So Hannibal has the ability to, you know, outmaneuver enemies and lock down their ability to escape, in addition to his normal ability to lead men and deploy, you know, anti-army noble phantasms. Possibly translated into something like a, you know, maybe like remove defensive buffs, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very solid things. Another one there is, you know, I mentioned before, the skill is called Grace of Baal. You notice there's a ball in Hannibal's name. Only one A usually spelled, but the name Hannibal means Grace of Baal, who is the chief deity of the Carthaginians. He is a sky god, a king of the gods, a weather god whose name means rider in the cloud. Where the fuck have you heard this shit before? Proto-Indo-European shit. But yeah, he was a big deal to the Carthaginians. He was their most famous guy. As Hannibal is Carthage's most famous hero, he has the blessings of this deity. So his agility and magic resistance can be, you know, raised beyond the level that history would supply him with. And also could give him mana from the land, not unlike independent action. So, you know, probably, you know, like a self-debuff resist. I'm not exactly sure what color card type, you know, fits Hannibal best, but it would probably be like that up, and, you know, maybe a little crit up, like independent action. That sort of thing. Also, just to say about Baal, again, we don't know how much of this is, you know, propaganda or not, but at least according to the Romans, who, as we've discussed previously, have a vested interest in talking smack on their enemies. But also, we do have some archaeological evidence. The god Baal, you know, associated with Strovs and stuff, may have been associated in Carthage with human sacrifice.
Oh.
Baal Haman. The Romans accused them of committing child sacrifice specifically, and there is like some cases of like burials of children at temples of Baal, but obviously without the common context, we don't really know why that happened. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the Carthaginians' version of the religion is very scattered. We do not have very good stuff. Usually, they would depict him as like with a guy with the horns of a ram, you know, kind of a thing. His consort was the goddess Tanit or Tinit, who, you know, is also one of the you know, many Proto-Indo-European goddesses of many things. I'm not sure if she's actually in the proper like you know, Astarte pipeline. Mm-hmm. But I will say, you know, Tanit, or Tanith as a goddess of civilization, is associated with things like, you know, olive trees, spears, armors, chariots, you know? It's funny how that sounds like other goddesses who already exist. Also, the Romans coincided her with their version of Juno as Juno Callistus. So just lots of other funny, weird comparisons there. But some of you may know Baal or Baal as the name of a demon. That's definitely a one that a lot of the Abrahamic religions latched onto as like, oh yeah, that guy, Baal. He's bad. So I don't know what the Church of Baal did to people in the North Africa and the Levant that made them upset about him later. But like I said, they remember that one. But still, wide variety of abilities to get in there. And then obviously, another thing that does have some play up on servants we've already seen, but the Oath of Hamilcar A. This is when Hannibal went with his father Hamilcar to Iberia. Hannibal swore the oath to never be a friend to Rome. Some report this as the exact phrasing as always be an enemy of Rome. I think the never be a friend to kind of works out with the way history played out. But the oath empowers him to fight Roman servants and Roman enemies with the viciousness and power of an avenger. So yeah, Boudica asks, anti-Roman damage up, crit up. Be crit up only against Romans? I don't know if that's too narrow. Actually, no, it's not too narrow. That's right. Romulus Quirinus exists. He can make anybody Roman. It's like the Fury meme of, pointing, saying, shoot that man, but it's just Romulus Quirinus sticking out of the lineup saying, Rome that man. But yes, this would be another anti-Rome rider, because we've already got that synergy. And the big one is, I mentioned this before as a phrase that, has come through in history. His noble phantasm is Hannibal ad portas, Hannibal at the gates, an anti-fortress noble phantasm ranked B+. Basically, this slurps up all of his, military campaigns into one singular narrative. The start of Iberia, crossing the Alps, all the way to the battle at Cannae, and the phrase Hannibal at the gates, which I said before, Hannibal ad portas, was recorded by Cicero, the Roman writer, and is basically a phrase that in classical Latin is just, the Romans would use this for any emergency situation. They would just exclaim Hannibal at portas when they're trying to tell you that things are for real. That's their meme. So, compare that to any number. And apparently, in some modern languages, they still use Hannibal at the gates as a euphemism for an urgent situation.
Makes sense.
So what this actually looks like is Hannibal summons 3 war elephants linked by chains. He can conjure them instantly in accordance with his surprise tactics. The elephants are not just, big war elephants with chains that can sweep up, swaths of enemies, but they are a conceptual attack against bounded fields and fortress-type noble phantasms. He penetrates defenses and especially natural barriers like no other before or since. Also, by summoning them, he can basically negate any negative modifiers he would get for a battlefield, because as you know, Fate is almost basically a tabletop RPG, except that the players are bullshitting the GM constantly. Making up new powers as the plot demands. But Hannibal was the kind of guy who, like I said, he did not give a shit about bad terrain. He would take anything and turn it to his advantage. He crossed the Alps. He would fight at, over river crossings in Iberia. There was obviously the incident where he crossed the swamp. There was another case where he jebaited the Romans with a night march, where he tied a bunch of torches to oxen and cattle and pack animals and drove them through the hills, so the Roman scouts were like, oh shit, Hannibal's on the march. Meanwhile, his guys were beating feet in the dark of night with no lights somewhere else.
Terrifying.
I also mentioned briefly, once again, I think while you were out, but there was Lake Tremene. That's the case where Hannibal baited his enemy into attacking and assaulted them at first light in the fog, because they all thought that Hannibal's men were still sleeping. He had his guys waiting in the woods since before the sun came up, so they came out of the fog and pushed the Romans into the lake. According to history, the lake ran red with blood.
Yeah, I remember this now.
Yeah, no. So, Hannibal is, the master of terrain. You give him some space to do some shit, and he's like, hold on, wait, I can make this work. So, when he's on his elephants, he doesn't give a shit about terrain. They can probably, run up skyscrapers or some other Fate bullshit. They are also a mental attack, because it's Hannibal. They are, war elephants with small fortresses on their back. He can fire arrows or javelins, throw shit at people. fight with the Force like they are a representation of the 50,000 men who actually made it across the Alps with him. So he started with a lot of men, but he was rattling around Rome with only 50k original, Carthaginians. So obviously, like, servants who can ignore fear or mental pressure are unfazed, but those who do not will feel like an existential dread of Hannibal at the gates. Just all that out there. So again, probably an AoE attack. Like I said, I kind of feel like, Buster AoEs, but it is Hannibal, so you can make the argument for, like, quick. He was known for, surprising fast tactics. And again, probably, like, ignores death, after effect to, like, inflict the terror debuff or some other mental debuff to seal enemies up. I do like literally terror because that is a chance to stun. Mm-hmm. And just in general, he can suddenly elephants and rampage around. Did do a note that, like, it works best with surprise. If he has to use it for an extended period, it's gonna, like, start to lose its conceptual advantages. If he's in a pitched battle, enemies can eventually figure out how to outsmart him. And while they are, summoned as, like, phantasmal beasts that represent his reign, the elephants have their own vulnerable morale. This was actually what got the Carthaginians at the Battle of Zama. They used war elephants there as well. But they were not employing their battle lines very good, so the Romans would actually, like, frighten war elephants by attacking them. So it's all there. And like I said, personal weapons, sword. The Carthaginians would have used a probably the Iberian, falcata type. Yeah, I think they even say that Hannibal equipped his men with it. So, the forward swept saber.
Everyone loves a good saber.
To Patreon. Big hacky blade.
Yeah.
Curved blade, curved grip. Very excellent ancient weapon. And, for just in general Hannibal's vibes, there are several alleged, paintings and stuff of him in later history. He was a very, like I said, popular subject even on. But we do have a couple of busts we believe to be of him or that are correctly related. So we have a little bit of a vibe. And, he's just kind of a guy, but that's all you need. He does appear to have a specific headpiece. He is usually carved as wearing this helmet or visor. He's got a little bit of a cloak on. Very classical. And I'm sure there's a lot of Carthaginian stylings you could get. Sorry, I just pulled up a painting from the Renaissance period where Hannibal in a turban is riding an elephant, but the author has drawn him with little lion knee guards. This is by Jacopo Ripanda. It is I gotta show Patreon chat this. Like, get a load of his weird little lion knee pads.
Those are lion knee pads, yes.
I don't know what this guy was on in the Renaissance, but he was on that good shit.
Look at that elephant with its dragon hat.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think Renaissance Italy would have known vaguely what an elephant is, but, like, they're still pretty fantastical. I also think this elephant's ears look like fucking bat wings. Like, we're going all out.
No, they do. They absolutely do. They even have fucking, they have spines in them.
Yeah, which is not how elephants work. I also like that I'm not 100% sure, but it kind of looks like either he only had elephant legs vaguely described to him, and some of it could be like the painting fading from the bottom up, but it almost looks like the elephant's wearing little booties.
Yeah, I can see it.
And it has a little bell. No, this is great. Great work, Yocapo. Do also note that a couple of the Carthaginians in this picture have just fallen over stone dead. There's a couple of guys at the back of the line who are just done.
Looks like there's a battle in the background, too, so...
Yeah, just giving us a lot of celebration. So, yeah, I think it'd be pretty easy to pull off Oh, the elephant trunk has teeth? I didn't even notice that. You're right, it does have a little tooth mouth.
Oh, God, that's terrifying.
That guy absolutely has... This is a guy who was told that Hannibal crossed the Alps on an elephant. He asked the commissioner, what the fuck is an elephant? And the guy, like, asked Grok to explain it to him. Well, it's got a big long nose at the front, which it uses to pick up stuff to eat. It's got a little wispy tail, big sharp tusks, big flappy ears, and it's like, yes, got it. Literal batwing ears, tooth tusk, dragon hat. And you can bet this guy just added the dragon hat just because he was like, no, this elephant needs a cool hat. But yeah, so like visually designed, there's a lot of elements you can take from depictions of Hannibal. Like I said, there's a couple of him with helmet. There's, several iterations of, because he was from North Africa, thinking about him wearing like a turban or other head wrap. And so there's a lot of different variations. I think we'd go with, some pretty simple like cloak and stuff. I'm not sure whether like the Ascension rank up should be like he should gain or lose the eye patch.
He should totally gain a lot. Like they should do like a Ptolemy thing where he gets older.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it should be like almost like a big boss to Venom Snake style transition. Like he should start like younger and lower powered, but as he ascends, he gets fancier and older and probably more scars.
Yeah. Because you could definitely argue that the prime of his life was probably him, in those 15 years in the Roman backwoods, fucking everyone's shit up.
I mean, that's when the Romans were like, we got to get this Hannibal guy, man. We got to get him. Literally trying to challenge Hannibal to a straight fight, and Hannibal's just like, no. The Romans' one weakness: enemies who are smart. Enemies who are not easily led into like, yes, on our honor we must fight. No, run away. But yes, that's Hannibal Barca. And like I said, the Hannibal should exist as a character already in Fate. And also, actually, bringing this up, there's another reason why he's a good fit for writer. There is a decent, at least according to history, it's very probable that he was assassinated. Or drank his own poison to avoid being captured by the Romans. I do believe even Old Man Hannibal, though, had some statements about this, which is basically something to the effect of, like, it's been like 20 years and they're still mad. Like, talking about how, well, the Romans finally can stop worrying about Hannibal as he's dying. Because, like I said, they... Sorry, a cardboard box fell over in my closet. It's fine. It was empty. It just startled me. But no, like I said, the Romans never really got over that this guy was able to like waltz all the way up to Rome and just go neener and run away. They felt that one generationally. The Carthaginians also felt it generationally because after the Third Punic War is when the Romans allegedly sowed salt in their fields because they were real tired of having that fight. And so that is Hannibal Barca. I will come up with the theme for Fanservant Friday for next month. But we're back on track, and that means it's what's up time, unless Lucky has remembered the thing he was going to say about Karakuri Castle.
No, I completely forgot it again because the internet killed me, and then I was like, oh no.
I kind of figured that would happen.
So let's go into what's up. Well, I guess I will say about Karakuri Castle is it's nice, I like it, it's fun, and it's funny.
As we did say before, the ticker tape's a great addition. Yeah. Well, yes, what's up? A couple of probably lighter things. Other than the big thing is that I believe that you said that last week you would hit up some anime, so I hope we can get the people what they want there. But to touch on a couple of things more briefly, I don't know how brief we'll be, but we'll be a little brief. The first one is, because I do believe we did talk about the leaks and rumors, but Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4, did come out. It is actually marked as Oblivion Remastered.
Oh, Omega, I found this out. It is a remaster? Because, funnily enough, all the old game files are still in the game.
Yeah, I've heard that. So, we've talked about this, right? It's really fucking...
Weird.
So, it is a UE5 game, but they, somehow just put the original Oblivion inside Unreal Engine 5 with new textures.
Yes.
How did they do this? I don't fucking know.
No, people have talking how they've taken the old files from Remastered and booted up regular old Oblivion with them. It's a little wild. But it's still, really fucking cool. I know last week I was definitely talking shit about Oblivion, and I still maintain that opinion. I do not think it is as great a game as everyone thinks it is, but I do have to say that it is probably more fun than I give it credit for. Like I said, a lot of people probably appreciated the jank and the weird stuff you can do, which is honestly seems to be what people genuinely like about, old school games like this. It's not necessarily the game itself, it's whatever weird ass fucking things you can do in said game.
Yeah. No matter what the the Oblivion remastered, because it comes with all the DLC, is like hours and hours, literally 3 digits of hours of content, not for full price. I believe the MSRP is like $50, which, considering that, as discussed, Nintendo is attempting to sell some new games for like $80, is like below market cap. So like, even if parts of it are still not good, there's definitely just hours of content in there for you to lose yourself in.
Yeah. Like, at some point, I will probably have to pick it up and give it a go. It's been... God, I played Oblivion like a year or two after it came out, back on the PS3. See, that's probably another one of my problems, is I played it on the PS3. We definitely did not have mod support back then.
True facts.
So I did not get to do all the fun things that people would do to make the game actually fun. But, yeah, it came out, and it looks pretty good, and, like, if people are happy with it, then so fucking be it. Like I said, at one point, I would probably pick it up. Not sure when or where, though.
Yeah, because it's like I said, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, oh, wow, they're really doing it? Oh, yeah, they're doing it. And, like,
yeah, no.
Twitter has been on fire with the really fucked up shit you can still do with the character generator. Which, like, is probably not as funny as people think it is, but I do think was a correct, like, litmus test for being like, oh, no, okay, they did not, quote-unquote, fix Oblivion. Like, the character creator's still fucked up. I've heard a couple people be a little negative that, like, some of the, like, changes in quality of life are still, like, mostly just made to appeal to people who liked Skyrim. Personally, I don't. It's one of those things of, like, well, then you can just... I literally know streamers who this year were playing old-ass Oblivion. You can still play old-ass Oblivion. I'm sure somebody already gave you 4K textures because the people on PC are insane. So, like, if you're so hung up that, like, you don't want the gameplay to change, you can still play old Oblivion. But I have still heard that, like, the enemy scaling is still a little annoying.
That's what got me back in the day. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I don't think they, like, changed it per se. I do believe that they, like, smoothed it out a little.
Well, if it's better, then I might not have much to bitch about. Because, no, that was the thing that got me, is that the enemies would scale up way too fast, and me, who wants to, practice things, like speech and everything else, I'm just all like, okay. Can we talk about this? I get hit in the face with a mace. Bump, bump.
I don't know exactly what they did, but I have heard they did kind of, like, revamp some of their skill leveling a little. So, like I said, I don't know how much better it is. Like, it's still, the system is still roughly the same as the first Oblivion, but it is supposed to, they have improved some things in general, which is how the gameplay is. So, I'll keep an eye out on it, but obviously that's not a high priority for me. The game that's just come out that I'm interested in, probably picking up in the not too distant future, is Clair Obscur.
Expedition 33. I am actually super excited for this one. I really want to play it. I probably would be playing it, except I have a huge-ass game backlog, and I don't want it getting bigger. I need it getting smaller.
Yep.
So, I am committing to at least finishing Alteria Yumiya, and maybe, like, at least, like, another game. Like, I haven't beaten Earth Defense Force 5. I haven't beaten Neo Fantasia and Neo Dimension. I haven't even started SMT 5, nor beat P3R. So I'm like, no, I need to, as much as I want to play Clair Obscura Expedition 33, I cannot. I need to knock out some games before I do. So hopefully by my, like, maybe like this summer, before like Death Stranding 2, I can get some time in for it.
Yeah, I'm planning on picking it up in the next month, but I do want to at least wrap up a couple of games I'm working on before getting into it.
But no, it has been highly praised, highly lauded. It seems very good, and I am excited to see it. I cannot wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone who worked on it, including the cast. But I want to give a particular shout out to Ben Starr, not because of his work on Clair Obscura, although he should be lauded for that as well, but just because of this man continues to be a treasure. He went to a WeebCon, I think, in the last week, and he attended the panel for Ladies of Final Fantasy, where the English VAs for Aerith, Tifa, and Yuffie were doing a Q&A, and got up, in the audience, and asked them if in his Clive voice, if Clive could take them bowling. And then Aerith responds with, only if we get to go to a Ren fair. So, no, like,
which is
I only knew
because
this because,
sure,
wasn't it Blacklist? Yeah, it was Blacklist, OG, who spotted him at the convention. I was all like, oh my god.
No, great note that because I don't think the panel was streamed anywhere, but
no.
Ben's great. And it makes perfect sense because, Brianna White, Aerith's English VA, has, hung out with Ben Starr before. I think it was at Golden Joysticks last year.
I think it was at the Golden Joysticks, yeah.
Yeah, because they were both hosting some, like they were presenting some awards, so they like hung out a little and shot the shit. So like that's cute and like Ben Starr is a treasure. Like obviously for his integration with like Square. Like I think the only other I think the 7 guys have a decent amount of coverage, but a lot of them also are like. The Rebirth team's in a little bit of a weird space because the English cast was obviously all recast for the remake. But they're most of them seem to be fairly excited to be involved in this, assuming that they do not get bogged down in the literally almost 30-year-old fucking shipping war. But I know that Brianna especially seems to be having a great time. But like Ben Starr is like all over the place. You need him to show up to rep Final Fantasy. He's there. I think like the only other people I've seen as excited are some of the 14 cast of the Scions are like Square gives them a call and they're like, we're in, man. We're having a good time.
Ben Starr, like I've read some articles on Ben Starr. He literally went from zero to hero overnight. It was actually kind of crazy. Because he had done a couple acting gyms and had like a few small television roles, but this was his first like major role, especially in a video game, and it kind of just put him on the spotlight. Everyone just got to see what kind of a goof he was, and it just catapulted from there. Now he's getting offers to be in several video games, a lot of calls to just for appearances, and Ben has talked about he's a little overwhelming sometimes for him.
Oh, I'm sure,
Crazy.
Starting kind of small, but yeah, no, it makes sense for the context of like, I expect that probably like, I mean, obviously, like if they're doing their job, any casting director who got like an audition or a demo for Ben Starr for Clive would be like, okay, this is our guy, because we need a guy who's gonna like portray this man at several points in it, at a couple different points in his life and his character arc, Mm-hmm. So being able to be a little goofy, a little light at times, but also be, super serial when he needs to be. Because it's pitch perfect performance as Clive, obviously. But also, I would expect that, like traditionally, like, for major characters, I don't think Square Enix, like, has gone out of their way with the dub studios to, like, pull, like, really huge industry names. Like, they do have some very famous people who come in for them and have a great time. I think I've pointed out that like it hit me, a few months back, but it was crazy to me that Gratia's English VA in 14 is also a major British actor because he's one of the headlining characters on Bridgerton. And that he's on like magazine covers for his real life acting work as like, sexiest man and shit. But like I don't think the Scions are like most of the core Scions were as big a pulls, like kind of the same with the 7 cast.
I don't want to disparage against different like cultures and whatnot, but I always feel like how we handle voice acting and deal with it, and how like Japan handles voice acting is something completely different. Like. Oh,
I mean,
God,
it is true, but I do think that like we've gotten more focus on voice actors lately, and there are.
Oh, we definitely have, yes.
Like Sid in 16 is portrayed by also a major British screen actor. So like it's interesting that they do. Square Enix does get big pulls, but I feel like for like protagonists, especially, they usually pick like smaller, less known people who are maybe better fits for the roles than just going for a big name. Like,
well, I think that's like that's the second thing. Like, I think this is also partially on Yoshi P and his crew, who, including Michael Christopher Koji Fox, who, you know, got in there and looked at people and was like, all right, we want this kind of person for the role and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, as Ben said, he was like, he's, you know, is a fan of Final Fantasy and stuff. So, you know, he probably, you know, brought energy to the job and what he wanted. Like, it's like earlier I was talking about stuff. You need to love what you're getting involved with and love things about and around it. If someone just came in just to, you know, try and get the job and not really caring that it was Final Fantasy or enough, I can definitely see people being just kind of like, to their performance.
But like, for example,
look, like,
no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, please keep going.
I was gonna say to switch up slightly, but like Cody Christian, who does in English do a pretty good job as Cloud Strife, was like relatively small in TV acting for a long time. His big break was that he's in like 30 episodes of the Teen Wolf series from the middle 2010s. And like this was pretty good performance. I didn't realize until I just checked this. He got like nominated for some like Teen Choice Awards during that period. But like that was the biggest thing he'd done until, you know, kind of being swooped up later, like being cast. And he is also like a lead character on a sports drama TV show called All American, which is from the CW. That but I have like literally never heard of this show. But that's because I don't watch the CW, so I don't know what we were expecting. But yeah, like they do, I think, like look for people who are the right fit for the character and have the right energy. Not necessarily because they've been clocking awards, though obviously they do pick some more famous names, like picking Matt Mercer as Vincent Valentine is like, yeah, he's a pretty well-known voice actor with a pretty good range. That said,
he's also, but again, I'll go back to that one. But also, you know, he has love of the Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Also, Matt Mercer is a giant fucking nerd, so I think they showed him in interviews, like him talking about him getting the news. He's over the moon to be a cool guy in a Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
it's that enthusiasm that shines through. God knows we've seen with like live action adaptations and remakes of shit that's not like of video games or anime. They'll pick a big name actor to slot in there, and it sucks because they don't know what they're doing, and most of the time they don't care. Stretching my neck a little, chat, but yeah, no, the like Ben Starr is a treat, and like even though, like you said, he's a little overwhelmed. You know, it hasn't gone to his head because he's still down to clown almost literally with shit like Balatro becoming Jimbo, briefly being fired as Jimbo on his birthday,
getting rehired as Jimbo. Getting fired as Jimbo on his birthday.
Being rehired as Jimbo, yeah. Which obviously was a bit on social media, but like he has the sense of humor to play it being fired on his birthday. Yeah.
Forklift Simulator.
Oh boy, we're stimming again. We're talking about it. But also, yes, that is true about the character of Jimbo in Balatro. I don't know why this came up, but it did. The developer did actually say that he's forklift certified. Why does that matter for a Joker clown man? I don't know. It's funny. But yeah, Claire Obscure looks pretty cool.
No, I'm excited.
Honestly, that's a pretty good fork into Final Fantasy 14 since we did kind of bring it up.
Yeah.
New patch drop, new content, cosmic exploration.
Man, it's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if crafters and gatherers were asking for real end game content, but we've got it. like this. It probably is easier than doing like a brand new Savage Raid or an Ultimate, but like sometimes it don't feel like it. This shit can be very, very complex.
Yeah.
And even if it's not complex, tiny times. Chad, I cannot tell you. Well, we should describe how the mechanics work, but I'll finish my story by saying, like, Chad, I cannot tell you how many times, and it's only been out like 3 days, where I have been like literally one node, like maybe 10 seconds away from getting a gold star rank, and it's just 10 seconds I physically don't have because I have
You're
to
literally
fucking
running
run
to the next
moon.
node. Slow motion. No.
Anyway, I am firing up the recording, and it is going again. Sorry about that, everybody. To briefly explain why there's going to be like a cutoff of Lucky in the middle of making some sounds there. I mentioned like several months ago now, like a couple, that my my wired headset exploded. Not really, but it died. I have a wireless, a Bluetooth headset now, but I've mentioned this before a couple times, like streaming. It's got a thing where it's like technically 2 devices, according to my computer. It is both a headphone and a headset. And for recording, the headset part's no good. Audacity only recognizes that as mono audio, not stereo. So just now I tried to get the after a disconnect, the Bluetooth thing to work, and it would not switch to headphones for any reason, which sucks. I do have wired earbuds, but if they get pulled so they're like popped out of the socket or jerked, that means that the audio device goes away, and computers don't like that. So we had to take a few minutes to reset there. Yeah, I will eventually get a new wired headset all the time. Where did I get an extension cable when I can just get a headset with a longer one? Oh, God knows, that's even... I haven't even tried that, because I do actually have a double-ended jack. I've tried the audio jack for the Bluetooth, yeah, and it doesn't... the computer's temperamental about that one, too. Then a wired headset? I don't know about that. Actually, probably. I usually get cables pretty cheap, but I don't know. That's... I have bought several cables for my previous headset before it died. Like I said, it's a little odd. I'll work on it, but right now I'm focused on feeding myself. Anyway, we were talking about cosmic exploration. Now it's hard.
Yes, sorry. I was actually trying to remember where we had stopped. I was like,
I don't know exactly because, like I said, it takes a few seconds for my computer to realize the audio is cut off. But I believe when I like picked back in and had to fight the device, you were talking about like the low rank stuff.
Okay.
Because I said that we need to explain how cosmic exploration actually works. It's on the moon.
It's on the moon! Well, the first part's on the moon.
And you craft and
gather.
gather.
And we craft and gather. You could basically start in at level 10. You get your free prototype relic weapon. It's not actually the relic weapon yet. You gotta upgrade it. And how you upgrade it is you do not leave quests. I call them not leave quests because they act functionally similar to leave quests, but they're a little bit more difficult. Instead of getting a fuck ton amount of time and just having to usually run to like 4 to 8 locations and hit things there, or craft something and turn it in, you have like additional objectives. I've been mainlining botanist this entire time, and boy howdy, even on the lower ranks, you have to book everywhere. Because unlike League Quest, where you can have like anywhere, I can't remember the exact time, but I'm gonna say like 15 to 20 minutes to do something. No, you get like 3 minutes at best. There are some specific things that get you more times, but generally, if I'm just trying to like gather something, it's like I have 3 minutes, and I have to spend like half of it running between nodes. And because these nodes aren't necessarily get scored on, just the gathering stuff. Sometimes it's like how big your chain is, how many times gatherers boon procs, how many times you can get something to be ethereally reducted into the specific item. Guys, you don't understand what I'm saying here is there's a lot of RNG involved in these getting some of these quests done on a small time frame, and that is hard.
Even the ones that are simple, like just get these items in the time limit. You will be scored your gold star if you have this much time left. I did one of those again after I got a gold star already, because like it tells you when you've got one, and I did it. And I was like, how the fuck did I get a gold star in this already? That was the one I was talking about earlier, where I was like literally 10 seconds from it, and I'm like, how the fuck did I do this? Did I just get lucky? I guess I did.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's as I did joke about earlier. It is the end game content for crafters and gatherers. Literally, in some cases, I believe the A ranks can only be done if you have level 100 in the requisite class. So yeah, it's pretty intense. But depending on how good the EXP is, it can be good to kind of run up your lower level stuff. It works for both crafting and gathering. Yeah, I haven't unlocked A rank in fishing. I tried a little bit of fishing missions, and they're what you'd expect. The numbers are lower, I think, than other gathering, because obviously fishing has like much longer animations.
Yeah.
But it's still like, catch 5 of these specific fish in like 4 minutes. Good luck.
No, and the problem that I'm having, especially at the higher rank, is like, this was supposed to be kind of going to be a, semi-casual affair for crafters and gatherers to, spend some freaking time doing stuff. It doesn't feel that way. Like specifically to me, as like I said, I'm running around. I'm not pentamelded, but I do have 720 gear for like my primary, secondary, and main armor. Still only got the 690 accessories, because guess what? That's the best that we got right now. Don't have full material on all of them, because guess what? Getting crafting gathering material is a fucking pain in the dick. But right, I am having so much trouble on the level 100s because everything is so RNG based. Like, I need to make sure, like, Like, I have so much I have to try to do in such a little amount of time, and so much of it is based on percentages of things that happen. It's really rough. And then let's not get into the fact that some of these quests actually have you do, like, multiple things. Like, as a botanist in the A ranks, I have quests which have me gather something as a botanist, then have me change to culinarian, leatherworker, or alchemist, and then craft the item. And those recipes are pretty freaking hard. They're not as bad as the actual crafters who get fucking expert recipes, which are super fucking hard. But I'm like, okay, I can understand if this is what, like, the tippy top if you only had one or two of these, but you have so many of these so often. I'm just all like, why?
Well, and the thing is also, like, the missions are randomized. I don't know exactly when they change, but they change regularly. So, like, sometimes you get an easy one. The one I've been mainlining is Minor, right? I've mentioned it before. There are some A ranks that I've actually gold starred. You know, there are some that are just like, get so many materials in the time limit. Okay, cool. You can do that 3 or 4 times. Well, then the mission changes and you got 4 different ones. What happens when you're stuck with, like, only Gatherer's Boon will be scored? You must reduce. And then the other 2 are like, hey, are you also a level 100 armorer? No? Can't even do it. So, like, it has a layer of RNG on its RNG where, like, sometimes you're going to log in and you're just going to get bad mission pulls. And I admit, I don't know, like, the developers have done, like, an FAQ recently. Like, they got a response back on a lot of stuff, including basically being like, the reduction missions are exactly as planned. You need to make sure you're looking at the buttons.
Yeah, no, I'm able to get through the reduction missions. It's actually fairly easy when you actually get it. I'm just more mad that the reduction missions have RNG. That if you do not get max collectability, you have a chance to get a dud item, and even when you have max collectability and are guaranteed to get the item, the item varies between 2 to 8. You get between 2 to 8 of them. So if you just get constantly low
like,
tools,
I understand what they're going for, but, like, you do have to surf through a couple menus to get to it, and it's like it's a literal, like, multi-step process that is like, is it worth the, like, I guess, you know, to the developers, is it, did you have to make it so that it's still this, like, loosey-goosey? Like, could we not just program the drop table to if you've done it correctly, it works every time? The answer is no.
No, because, again, I feel like this is people who want more challenging content in their stuff. So I'm like,
I admit, I haven't seen a whole lot back and forth on it, other than just, like, I've actually seen a decent number of people kind of in the same vibe as up, which doesn't always happen with 14, but, like, people talking about, like, man, I don't have enough GP for this. If you're a gatherer, your GP, your gatherer points don't come back automatically, so, like, you will have significant downtime because, God, please, Yoshi P, like, even if it's just at the hub and I have to, like, teleport back and then run back out into the field, I need a zone or a thing to make GP regen faster. It sucks. It's bad because I have to spend all, like, 850 whatever I have on some of these missions to finish them, let alone to silver or gold star. That takes a long time to come back, man. And there's nothing to do. So, like, I've seen a little bit of that. Like, I saw some early memes about the time involved because they're very short. So, like, I don't know. Like, yes, there are people who want challenge. I don't know if crafters or gatherers were asking for it. They may have been. And some of this may just be kind of like, because it's a little similar to how the Firmament worked and how Leaves worked, like you said, but it's different. I don't know if this is just the team, like, evolving those concepts to, like, endgame philosophy, basically.
Maybe.
So, I don't know. We'll see. For now, it's mostly just clarifications, but this is going to be a project that is going to be in multiple phases, so we might see them change some of this stuff up as we, like, unlock new areas. What I want to do at some point is, I've been logging in to get, like, daily missions and stuff done, because there's a Wheel of Fortune involved. There's a wheel, chat, with things on it. Things I want. Good things. Mounts and minions. Oh, actually, I should say, I did some wheel spins earlier. I actually logged in during the tail end of a red alert that had Fisher on it.
Oh, good.
In the middle of the day.
Got some good rewards out of that, I bet.
Yeah, I caught some fish. Got a lot of points. I got on one of my roulette spins as a result, I got a table, so I put that in the company chest. I don't know if we want a space table, but we've got it.
Oh, the Cosmo table?
Yeah.
I got one of those, too.
I'm not going to put it in my I'm not going to put it in my room right away. Somebody else wants it, they can have it. But, like, there's good shit in there. So, like, you're motivated to do it. There's good shit for the other currency, too, which is more grindy. But, like, it, you know, they're, like I said, they've got a recent curve. I do kind of feel like, obviously, a lot of people are burning through the milestones really fast. It may be that this is the kind of thing that they're intending for you to, like, log in, do just enough missions to, like, lock out your daily, maybe spin your roulette wheel a little, and then, you know, go home after earning some currency, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I do also kind of feel like some of it is longer term. Like, I don't think we've even mentioned mech ops yet. They're mech ops. They're like fates inside the leaves, right?
Yeah.
So you'll get a big call that a mech op is coming. You can apply to be a pilot. There's only like 3 or 4 every time, maybe 5, I think is the most I've seen. You have to pay your gacha currency, your wheel spin currency to get a ticket. That you will make a decent amount of it back if you actually get picked. And if you don't get picked, you keep your ticket. So
yeah.
You know, you can keep applying. So long as you budget it out, you can you know, keep this up for a while. If you get a mech, you actually do get to ride into a mech, which I do believe are mounts you can access. And you get cool actions. You get to be a cool guy and drive a bulldozer or fire space lasers. But you can also sign up even if you don't get picked to a mech for what's called ground ops. So you get to do fun little interactions like hit rocks with a drill or burn away space fungus.
Fungus.
It's very fun. But if you go to a ground op as ground team, you do ground support for a mech op. You get like a 20 instances of a reward bonus, and that shit sticks around even through the next day. So like, yeah, I don't actually know. Like, are we supposed to be like going to mech ops, grinding out 20 of these, and going home, or what? Because like, the bonus is really easy to maintain. You will probably not complete 20 A rank missions in the time between mech ops.
No, you will not. This definitely happened before.
So like, I again, like I said, I'm not sure like what their intent is. Like, are you supposed to like treat it like Bozja and just you fucking knuckle down for like 6 hours? Or is it supposed to be a thing you chip away a little at a time? Maybe it's supposed to be both, which is why there's some of this like weirdness to it. They wanted to design something you could kind of pick up and put down, but also could go deep in the tank on.
Well, it's probably the latter because
either.
I don't think the red team has never necessarily been like, all right, we're building this specifically like for like one like group of people. I mean, they do with like, you know, the chaotics and the freaking thing, but people have been screaming for more difficult content fucking forever.
Yeah.
So it might have something to do with it. But no, I do think that the intent with Cosmic Aspiration is to be a more casual, laid-back experience. But Square Enix has forgotten the number one thing. People will not be fucking casual about things.
Yeah, the you know, you give crafters and gatherers a goal and they're like, oh shit, baby, I can, you know, do something besides like make money, and also can make money. And no, they zip several worlds and servers zip through some rewards real fast.
So like overall, I like it. I'm gonna keep doing it. It's just I'm not having like super great expectations here. I'm here to you know, chop down space fungus and be a cool botanist.
Something I forgot to finish saying earlier is I'm very curious to see how it does work as like a leveling system. Because I've mentioned before that that's a thing that I think we talked about on the stream when we did it, where I did craft and gather for over 3 hours. And I did do both to actually try out crafting. But usually the way that like people online are like, okay, so you want to level, you know, your crafters. Here's what you do. You spend about 20 levels just hammering out basic recipes and doing quests because that gives you a shitload of EXP. Then you're going to go to the firmament and do stuff. And I'm wondering if like Cosmic, which you can start as early as level 10, like you said, is meant to kind of replace that curve, or if that will be too much of a pain in the ass. I should pop into one of my lower level crafters and like see what the EXP gain is like. Because I believe it is still proportional, so maybe handy. And, you know, I mean, we get cool mechs out of it. And if you want to go absolutely ape shit, there's a fucking pterosaur mount in it.
Yeah.
In that case, we are at about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about anime, I think.
Whatever anime stuff you want to hit people up with, Lucky, go for it.
All right, well, first off, I know I said a little while ago that I was actually a little bit concerned about not being able to find things to watch. Boy howdy, am I glad to been wrong about that one. Turns out there are plenty of good things to watch. Let me pull some up. Let me pull some stuff up here real quick. Give me a secondi. Because I have been picking up things here or there, and I do like them. All right, let's see. What's in my watch list here? First off, I'm going to go with Witch Watch, a series based off a manga. It's very lovely. Animation's very good. The opening is goddamn phenomenal. I love the bits. I watch it on the reg. Story is basically that in Japan, someone with the bloodline of an Oni is basically charged with protecting a witch who he knew from his childhood. The witch and her part is completely head over heels for this man and really wants to impress him, but is kind of a klutz in the airhead, and her magic keeps getting her into hijinks. This is all overshadowed by a big prophecy that disaster will befall her if she is not protected by her familiar. So I actually haven't read the manga on this one. A lot of people I have talked to said that they have read the manga, but they kind of fell off of it for one reason or another. So I don't know, maybe it gets weird, but for right now, only a few episodes in, I think it's pretty good. I like the characters, I like the animation, voice acting's good as well, music is grand. So I would definitely give that one a watch if you could. Another one that I'm watching that like kind of surprised me is the Gorilla God's Go-To Girl, excuse me. I guess you can hear from the title, it's a little weird. In this story, it's basically, the premise of an otome game. We have one timid young noble girl who's too scared to interact with anybody or make herself known and just wants to completely not stand out in the world. Lucky hates these character types, by the way. I'm just letting you know. But her life was thrown into disarray when on her power-up ceremony, TM, she was given the power of one of the top tier combat abilities, the spirit of the Gorilla God. This, of course, catapults her into becoming a Knights trainee, where she is surrounded by hot men constantly. If Lucky sounded a little irritated about that right now, it's not necessarily that she is surrounded by hot men, but this really weird imitation that it's fucking weird when guys like a whole bunch of girls, but when there's a whole bunch of guys who like one girl, that's completely fucking okay. And then they double down in another way where the girl is surrounded by a bunch of hot guys, but she only has eyes for one of them, but all of them just hang around her and be supportive of her. And I'm just all like, what is this? But it's still funny and cute and endearing, so I forgive it.
We let it
like I said,
pass.
Actually, I think that might be too real, but who knows? Ax in the chat, it's like, that is the otome fantasy for guys not to be a source of fear, I assume. I'm like, you might be onto something like that, but I really don't want to think about that because that seems very dark.
I mean, honestly, that is how, like, games are sometimes marketed to both genders. That's part of the fantasy that, like, oh, well, it's not real, so, like, you can, approach dating men or women, in a way that's, like, a safe space.
It's true.
But, when you get into the narrative...
I have to re-examine my thoughts on this then. I'll continue to be slightly irritated at this while I recontextualize with that new thought process. But it's actually, but as I said, the Gorilla God's Go-To Girl is quite funny because it is this timid little girl who doesn't want to stand out, who keeps accidentally doing feats of great strength and durability. So I also recommend that. The animation is fairly normal, and the sound design and voice acting isn't anything special, but it's interesting enough premises. I find that I shouldn't say I find that hilarious, but I find that ironic. As when I was in my mid-20s, women would constantly try to pick me up when I was walking home at night, calling out for me from calls, asking me if I needed a ride home, if they wanted to take me home to dinner. Same when I was working at a casino. I got fucking touched so many times.
Honestly, I think that just sounds like people of all genders have a lot to learn about boundaries with other humans.
It's true. The only problem is that I was always told like it wasn't actually a big fucking problem. I'm a guy, suck it up.
Yeah, that's
why I always get like
it's one of those weird cases where that's actually kind of about patriarchy, about like, nah, you're a man, suck it up.
That's why I always get like slightly irrationally mad about when people start pulling out statistics of how many people like been molested in like workspaces and whatnot. I'm all like, yeah, that relies on everyone telling the truth, and there is no way you can force people to tell the truth.
True. Yeah, it's a rough case where it's like to get real for a second, chat. I do believe that as a category, historically, women have been more exploited than men. But also, that does not mean that exploitation of both sexes does not occur. And it would be really great if we did not scuffle or get at each other's throats over the nitty-gritty of who feels more exploited, and just be like, hey, could we just try and get humans to just get along better?
No, it's like, I know I should, but I have a chip on my shoulder, like, over it. Like, cause, like I said, I work at the casino, been sexually harassed, molested, and like all that stuff. And yet, for some odd reason, women get to be the most unhinged freaks I have ever seen, and no one bats a fucking eye. I know I've told the story before, and I know I've told it on, at the Discord. But when I worked at the casino, they would have shows, like Chippendale and Thunderdano, where a bunch of hot, sexy guys strut around on stage and be hot and sexy at the crowd. Every time this would happen, we would have to get extra security because all the women that would show up would become an absolute unhinged horde of screaming, fighting, throwing things, just everything. And I'm just all like, if this was a bunch of guys doing this, everyone would have been fucking arrested.
It is true. There is a little bit of a double standard. And, that's a thing that, like, society should be ready to acknowledge and work on both sides.
Yes, no, it's
like, I want to say this. I don't think anybody's saying that dudes should be able to do that. Both ways, that sounds a little cringe.
No, it's like, I want people to be able to feel safe, but that goes both ways. I am never going to say, oh no, I had it harder than, someone else. No, I've just had it hard my own ways, as I expect everyone else to. I just don't like the idea that the fact that for some odd reason, what someone else happens to you gets more of a fair pass than what happened to me by circumstance of their gender. And that goes both ways. If there is some way that I am, benefiting through my gender over someone else, that should stop too. That's one of the things I think I want people to fully understand is one, like equality, like equity or equality, whatever you want to use, is not just about, whatever like group you are against, like losing whatever privileges and benefits, they had. It's also about you losing what benefits and privileges you had over them. And they do exist, even if you don't want to acknowledge them. Like, it's sad to think about, but it's true. It's like I tell people, like, sorry, I know Lucky's getting real, but I'm gonna get this off my chest. But it's the same thing with like the race card and whatnot. I tell people, like, I ask people, when do you think racism is gonna end? And they say something to like, oh, when the blah blah, stops, oppressing, whatever. And I say no. Racism ends when the oppressed party doesn't feel like blah blah is oppressing them anymore. Which I'm going to tell you right now, as long as they identify themselves as against that group, is never going to fucking happen. Because anything that they do, they can attribute to the other group, they will. Just to get away from the fact that it might be their fucking fault. And this can apply to a lot of situations. This has been my TED Talk. Even though it had nothing to do with technology.
There were some TED Talks that were like that.
No, but like I said, humanity excites and disgusts me all at once. Anyway, I got too real with that talking about a fucking Otome premise game. Sorry about that. We'll keep talking about anime though. So something else that came out this season is the second season of Aharan-san Hakuranai, which is very cute, very lovable. We have finally broken the curse. This is actually a second season in which the couple got together in the first season, and the story kept going.
Nice. A lot of, I don't want to say a lot of writers are afraid, but I definitely feel like some writers struggle after spending so much time on romantic tension, like writing the through line.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I get it. It can be tough. You've lost some of the drama.
Hang on, I'm typing it out for Axe because I'm probably going to butcher it again. Yes, but we're in season 2. Animation's done by Billy, so it's decidedly safe, but it's cute. And the cute really works for the premise. There's a lot of gags, a lot of comedy, and a lot of fun characters. Overall, it's a very good feeling anime, very slice of life. And if you want to just feel slightly better about your day, I heartily recommend it. Now we're going to get into a weird one. This one is a ninja and assassin under one roof. It's called Ninkoro for short. So first off, just to set the tone for this, it is animated by Shaft. This is important. So expect a lot of weird health tips, palette swaps, and interesting scene changes. But the premise is one of our main characters, I forgot her name already. Good job, Lucky. Horrible with names as always. Kind of got, I don't want to say coerced, tricked, or anything like that. Kind of fell into escaping her super serious ninja village. Is now wanted dead. Unfortunately, she's a very bad ninja. Luckily for her, she runs into a high school assassin who proceeds to just murder the fuck out of her assailants.
Perfectly normal.
It turns out that
assassins.
Yeah. Turns out though that Ninja Girl has one really good ability. She can turn anything she touches into leaves, which is great for covering up crimes. This appeals to the assassin high school girl because she is trying to raise herself in the assassin rankings. Lucky did a slight pan to the camera there. And she hasn't been able to because she has to spend too much on, cleanup costs. So this just runaway ninja girl falling to her lap is perfect. I don't know. Maybe it was inspired by No More Heroes. I'm not sure. But their stories about their cohabitation together. The ninja girl is actually super ginky, super friendly, but also super naive. While the high school girl is cold, calculating, deadpan. It's kind of that dynamic. So it's interesting. One of the things I do like about this though is they do this thing where whenever like the assailant shows up, they like show up, they're super flashy, have voice lines of characters and stuff, talk, and then the assassin girl just kills them in one frame and they never show up again. It's like all that character like lead up and payoff just gone in a moment. I'm like, I've heard of kill your darlings, but this is something fucking else. Yeah, just to mercilessly kill someone and move on. Not like mercilessly kill someone like you're killing someone, but like in a story beat. Usually you want more payoff from your characters than just having them show up one scene, get murdered immediately, and then leave, moving on. So it's funny, it's interesting. I want to see where it goes. Let's see here. So this actually surprised me. Continuing from last core, I left my A-rank party to help my former students. Is on their second season. Apparently it got 2 cores, which is wild to me considering it's not an isekai, but it is a fantasy-based harem story. Like I said, I've been watching it. I like it. I think the characters are nice. The animation is good and the story is pretty good, but I was actually very surprised to see that it got a second 2 cores back to back. It's very template story. There's an adventurer who gets fed up with his old party, leaves it, finds a new party. It's all cute girls who really like him, and they just go start off and being really fucking awesome together. Like I said, there's more like story beats and whatnot, but it's the basic gist of it. It's part of the I got kicked out of my party cliche that has been growing since, oh God, what I want to say.
Oh God, it's been a long time.
I want to say redo of Healer, but I think that started the I'm gonna fucking go back in time and be an absolute asshole to people.
Also very popular.
Cliche. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a slight tangent, but you talking about that did remind me, like, that is a thing that I have noticed and discussed on Fable Trail about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. Like, because Konami still sponsors Yu-Gi-Oh! Animes. They're focused on their like, hip, new, high-paced version of the game for kids. Rush Duels. Those are still, like, 3-digit long series, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. This was funnier because, actually it's like 5, it's literally 4 minutes long. I should show you this short. They're doing promotional shorts about the actual, card game storylines, and they released their first one. It's not great. It's 4 minutes long. It's really 3.5 minutes because they do have credits. But it's like the conclusion of a story arc of 2 characters fighting without, like, hardly any of the setup.
Oof.
And also, it's like, as somebody pointed out, it's like the 3rd iteration they've done of this fight because they kind of showed it in some promotional footage inside Master Duel. They had a whole solo mode where they showed, like, promotional clips, which are different, by the way. They are unique animation they produced. They just put in Master Duel, did not make it into a different short. And also, they did a manga version of this story already, which apparently also handles that fight differently. So it's like, Konami, how much money are you spending? Because this animation looks good. How much are you spending to produce this 4-minute short that's, like, just confusing? Because it doesn't... I mean, it's hype moments and aura, but it like you've told this story like 3 times now. It looks different each time. What's the point of this? So yeah, I don't. It's very funny to me to hear about anime budgets, and you saying that like they got a second core like right away of this show, especially for it to be relatively boilerplate sounding. I think is correct. Yeah, like it's not. We're not doing anything super crazy. Unique.
No, I think it's good. I think it's good writing overall, but we have a lot of we have a lot of points on the checklist checked off, and you said again, like nothing against it. I like it. It's why I watch it. It's just one of those things. I'm just too used to these getting one core, and then everyone at the studio being like, "All right, how did this do?
Fucking,
do we want to
fucking Don, which is like a huge moment, a seminal moment. Like everybody was fucking showing up to watch Don every week, right?
Right.
Super popular, great writing manga. They didn't get a second core back to back. They're not coming back until the summer, I think. So, like, yeah, it's surprising.
But I do like it. Actually, I do have the web novel pulled up. I should probably get to reading it. See, that's what I do. If I find a anime I like or a manga I like, I try to go far back as close to the source I can possible. Which I also did with this next one, by the way. I hope you're ready for it because it's second verse, same of the verse. This is the one I'm going to talk about here now is the Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. So, main character was in a really powerful party, got kicked out for being useless, saved an elf girl slave who immediately became enamored of them, and decided to set up an underground doctor's clinic in the slums where the 3 leaders of the 3 gangs, all beautiful women by the way, have fallen for him. Also, he has a cute ghost living in the house, and she's my favorite, by the way. Just letting you know. So, again, it's a different story and a different premise since I left my A-rank party, but it's the exact same thing. And I'm just all like, ugh. Luckily, it's entertaining and funny, so I like it. I like the premise of instead of being an adventurer, he is just a doctor who's just like, nah, I'm gonna heal people. Fuck you. Pay me. They actually did the anime adaptation a little bit better than the novel adaptation, which is good. Kinda like I said, immediately getting kicked out of the party, he saved a little elf girl who's now his nurse. Out of Blackjack. Wait, do people even know who Blackjack is?
God, I hope they know. I remember who renowned surgeon Blackjack is. It's an old school anime and manga. I think it was mostly a manga, but they did do a couple of anime adaptations.
No, they do a couple of animes. No, I'm sorry. I was just thinking about that. It's like, because Blackjack always had his little assistant who was super into him, saying they were going to get fucking married and stuff. Blackjack was just like,
A classic.
God, hang on. Oh, it was Osamu Tezuka. Okay.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think it's a Tezuka piece.
Yeah, it is. Oh, wow. It actually won the first Kodansha Manga Award for the shonen character. Wow.
Yeah, it is old school. It is from the 70s, but it's, like I said, very classic. And it's one of those things that when you realize what it is and where it comes from, you'll start to notice a lot of references. I think Blackjack's vibe himself has carried over a lot.
Pinako, that was her name. I believe there is a Young Blackjack series as well. But yeah, no, just thinking of his, his white and black hair, his fucking scar and his blue flesh. Oh, and he was a super illegal doctor.
Well, and also I think just the classic of his backstory is that, he was, an up and coming elite surgeon until.
No. But I said, I like the vibes of the Brilliant Healer's New Life and the Shadows as the main character is a little deadpan. What I like is he understands that all these women are vying for him, but he's just all like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm trying to be a fucking doctor.
Honestly, that sounds like a great anime take of just a guy's not swimming, he's got a harem basically, but he's not swimming in romantic tension. He's just man, I have a job, okay? I have shit to do. I'll worry about this shit tomorrow.
No, so I appreciate. I like it. Let's say animation's good. Sound and music is good. Story could be better. Like I said, they have an interesting premise here. Like I said, not focusing on adventuring, but having set up shop in a slum, becoming an underground doctor, which I think they could have probably done a lot a lot better. Like, the 3 female leaders, like, thirsting over the Doctor, I don't think is anything particularly bad. That's just, that's just par for the course. But I feel like they could have toned up some tensions and some disputes in there. As I said, Lucky is a fan of conflicts. And I feel like some conflicts get resolved way too freaking easily for the sake of moving on the story. But overall, I still recommend it. Third in this chain is the Unaware Atelier Maester, in which a young boy traveling with a high-ranked pilot gets kicked out for being fucking useless. And while he did not immediately meet a beautiful young girl to take him under his wing, did start attracting the attention of multiple young girls or young-looking girls who realize that while he has absolute zero combat power, is triple S in basically anything production-based, from cleaning to mining, alchemy, construction, all of it. And has such low self-esteem and self-worth that he literally cannot believe that anything he does is a benefit for anyone else, or takes anything that he can do as something that everyone can do. This is equal parts frustrating and entertaining, because a lot of people, like, I read after I watched like the first couple episodes of this, I went and read the manga. And because Lucky is a glutton for punishment, I went and read comments and see what people thought about this. A lot of people seem very upset that no one is telling this boy he can do all these things. But that, like, other people in said comment sections and even a bit in the work itself, they're like, if we told this kid, he would not believe us. Like, that's how that's how it is. And on that part, I agree with that, people. Like, trying to convince someone that how they've thought is wrong after, years upon years of believing that is fucking hard. People do not change their minds on an instant. That's very rare. But it's entertaining because it's funny. And like I said, Lucky likes production. Lucky likes base building. So these kind of things, appeal to me. Like I said, the animation is simple but good. Sound design's all right. Story is, you're either gonna like it or you're gonna hate it. I think there's no in between for this one. I'm afraid to say. So one that I'm interested in and have not actually fully got into is Please Put Them On, Takamine-san. Because I read the manga for this a while ago. It's one of them lewd stories, in which our main character gets involved with the school's perfect idol, Takamine-san, who turns out is only so perfect because she has an ability in which she removes a piece of her underwear. She can go back in time. I don't remember how exactly he figures out she can do this, but he does. And of course, this means that Takamine-san blackmails him into being her closet, at which point he has to carry around, extra pairs of underwear and stuff for her so she can use her ability whenever. I remember reading the manga for this, and I was like, I think this was like years ago when Lucky started getting the pop the vein about girls who blackmail men into doing their bidding, and men just go, okay, I am your slave now. And everyone thinks that this is a fine arrangement for some odd reason.
Well, I mean, the short version of that is like, man, that's just kink.
It is. I guess it is kink. I'm pretty sure if I was to go on some comments, I'd probably see some people saying, God, I wish that was me. And I'm like, do you? Do you really want to be at this girl's beck and call? And then some people would unironically go, yes. I'm like, wow.
Remember, kids, safe, sane, consensual.
Listen, consent is sexy. If he wanted to be her closet and, it was his choice, fucking go for it.
But in fiction, we do stuff that's inadvisable in real life. But also, I will give this premise a slight pass because I do know that Takamine-san actually knew the MC from long ago, so she might have some unrequited feelings for him, which is causing her to act the way that she does. Because otherwise, the MCs are dense as black holes generally. Sadly, a fact that is true about real life, at least judging by the amount of people I see on Twitter go like, I've realized 4 years later that somebody was flirting with me. It's real, chat. Men and women both have this response. On the internet, anyway.
This is why we have to stop relating on fucking, weird ass like nonverbal signs and cues and just, be direct with such things. And not to be creepy with it. That's the other thing. Don't be fucking creepy. Fuck.
Yeah, we humans have to learn how to take rejection because in general humans have to learn how to take failure, period.
Yes.
Very important. You're going to fail. You got to learn how to roll with that one. But also, yes, being comfortable. This is God, humans are complex, man.
Well, no, actually, I feel like you would actually have a pretty decent time, asking a girl out non-creepily. Like, there are, I've heard, horror stories of guys, constantly asking girls to, go out with them. Hey, come home with me. Come, let's go out. Let's go do stuff. And they're saying no over and over and over again. I'm all like, bro, she said no. I was like, oh, no, she said no, but she actually meant yes. And you can just see her just being more and more uncomfortable every time. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure she means no.
No means no, brother.
And if she says no and actually said, and if she said no and actually meant yes, you shouldn't date her anyway because she's trying to play fucking mind games with you, which is dumb.
She's fucking with your steez, man.
So if she says no, take it as a no. Go with a girl that says yes.
If she changes her mind later, that's okay. That's part of the gambit. Humans are allowed to recontextualize their opinions.
Ax, are you sure they avoid you, or do you think they avoid you? Have you gotten some calls from human resources saying, please do not approach these women?
I think X tries to build rapport at work, but not going to catch me doing that.
Is your coworker better at the job than you? Are they more attractive of you? Yeah, there you go. He has the charisma.
He has Riz chat. It's after 1 a.m., by the way. I'm allowed to be a little unhinged.
Be unhinged. Like I said, this is what we're talking about, don't refuse rejection. If he just has more charisma, that's not anyone's fault. I mean, I don't want to say that's a him problem. No, he just has more charisma.
What's the yeah, I think it is actually My Hero Academia that just straight up starts with saying not all men are created equal. It's true. While I do believe in the correct assertions of the Declaration that indeed all human lives start at an equal point of value, we are not made equally, and we're real. As a society, I think we tried way too hard to make everybody feel like they were all the same, and that doesn't work because people are in fact different and are different at different things. God, it really is almost 1:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. People have different strengths and weaknesses, which will be appealing to different people.
No, I like to think I have a decent amount of charisma.
I think so.
Because when I work, I can generally talk. What was that, Omega?
You're gonna say I think sometimes you even have more charisma than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah, but usually, when I speak to people at work, I usually, I just give them the pleasantries, and I try not to think about them I just try not to think about it too hard. I'm just hey, how you doing? Everything okay? Everything good? Need any help? No? All right. Talk to you later. And I move on with my day. Don't look back over my soda. I don't fidget awkwardly. I get in there, get out. Well, slight offense to you. There's no way I can't say it. I probably imagine that the way you speak, you are probably slightly awkward at work when you talk to people, and probably have some troubles communicating with them.
Honestly, I'm thinking about it what's a conversation with Axe I enjoy, and it's I think the moments when Axe is most relaxed in a conversation is we're talking about nerd shit, but that's not usually a water cooler situation. There's a reason there are memes about this.
It's I had a point I was going to bring up with this, but I totally forgot it.
Phantom point. The Phantom Pain. Well, also, there was some back and forth there. I said, I think this guy just has more life experience, too. Talking about, he's ex-military and a dad and stuff, and I'm just yeah, that honestly, that guy's probably more relaxed at work because he has other shit he's had to deal with, so he is projecting a more natural, relaxed, charismatic personality.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what it is. You got to remember, Ax, I know, this might be something you might struggle with a little bit, due to your mind goblin stuff, but the body gives off a lot of nonverbal cues that people pick up on. Due to women usually being much more scared of interaction than others, I tend to believe that they are way more sensitive to such nonverbal things than men are. So if you are awkward, fidgety, maybe are trying a little too hard to talk to them, they may pick up on that. And
also,
they could
just may pick up on tension and posture.
Yeah. Like I mentioned, I generally have a posture of I don't care. Lucky only has 2 modes at work. Either I don't care or I will do my best to solve whatever this is. That's it.
Like I'm
But like communication, it's hard. Like honestly, like I do agree. I think we do rely a little bit too hard on new nonverbal cues and unspoken rules that no one actually fucking understands to interact with other people, and that's fucking dumb. We should be a lot more be able to be more direct and less afraid of hurting people's feelings. But we also got to like make sure that people whose feelings aren't getting hurt aren't going to lash out in weird fucking ways.
How do I phrase this? It's a bum rap that humans can come out of the factory missing their nonverbal modules when, however you want to phrase it. I would say the short version about like, God made us with the nonverbal parts, like evolutionarily. That's a huge deal to humans, is our history of like nonverbal communication, body language and stuff. It's important to many animals, actually. But like I said, humans can come out the factory missing the parts for that, which sucks ass, but it happens, man.
Well, maybe we shouldn't rely so much on nonverbal then.
It's true. We should look on it. Also, Axe saying like, am I supposed to always appear working and diligent even though it feels like a lie? Yes, you are supposed to lie. Welcome to the great paradox of office work. Yes.
Yes.
That's like, why there is like, man, whatchamacallit? There's a whole history of like movies and sitcoms about this kind of thing, building it up.
Well, then ask your supervisors what you can do in the meantime. If their answer is, well, I don't have any more work for you, well, then there it is. Say, what do I do then? As like, ask if there's any courses you can take. It could be. But, I got tangent on this because, as always, gender inequality freaks me out slightly. But that was please put them on Takamina Sound. I haven't watched the full first episode, but I am still interested enough in it to try. Apparently, it is quite lewd. Crunchyroll has been getting some laurels because they've been airing the uncensored version a bit. I think like the first and third episodes were uncensored, I think. Maybe not with the second one. I don't know. But as I said, Gooners are going to goon. So they're happy with that. I'll never forgive them for taking out interspecies reviewers, though.
Ow.
I know it was basically porn, but I was promised it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I sneezed.
He sneezed.
Oh, my neck. Oh.
An anime about some dudes visiting monster girl brothels. Let's fucking go.
It had appeal for a reason, but there's also the like. I feel like for Crunchyroll, it was like they were like they were pushing boundaries. They were like, well, we can't if we cover it up, it's just a black screen, right? What will we do? We'll see what happens. And then people realized like, wow, no, this is really erotic, and it's like. I mean, yeah.
Well, no. If you don't remember, this one got pulled all the way back in Japan.
Yeah. That it got too hot for TV in Japan, even. But like, it's still one of those moments of like, yeah, no, like what do you want? Like, I mean, you ever seen an HBO original? Like, this is a certain amount of sexiness is permissible. It's just finding that range about what people are expecting to find on the Crunchyroll.
Honestly, Axe saying it was honestly weird porn too. It's like, yeah, it's monster girls. If it's not weird for monster girls, they're not monster girls.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you don't have it be about monster girls if you're gonna be normal. That's called vanilla. It's normal.
It's okay to like the vanilla, but I'm not getting my fucking my mint chocolate cookies and cream with Oreo chunks in it. And gonna go.
Ugh. Sorry, that's my sinuses readjusting.
Yeah. The other one I have here is I have a couple more here that I'm watching this core right. Well, actually, no, I have another one, but that one's on Amazon Prime. So I'll have to think about that for a second. But the other one I'm watching here on Crunchyroll is the Shuinjing Family Children. I've only watched one episode of it. The animation's really good, but I'm not entirely sure what it's about. What I've seen in the first episode is that there's this big, rich and powerful family that has like 7 kids, and they're all pretty cool. And it seems like the story is focusing on the male heir, who is the oldest, who has, a younger brother and then 5 younger sisters. And it comes out at the youngest's birthday party that they're not all actually related. And I'm just all like, okay, where are we going with this? Because they already said right now, it's all like, oh no, we're like family. We don't have to be weird about stuff. Except it's already weird because the youngest has already said, already confessed her love to the eldest, for which the eldest got beat up for, by the way. Again, one of those things of like, all right, it's not his fault. Why is he suffering for this?
Well, that's just the advantage of being the baby.
But I haven't watched episode 2 yet. I'm probably going to try and get through it this weekend because, like I said, it seemed interesting. I like the animation. I like the vibes. And the character designs are each unique and lovely. So I kind of want to see where the story goes. But at the same time, I'm a little concerned.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Also, hey, people at home, can you tell Lucky is an elder sibling and I'm a youngest? But sadly, it do be like that.
Yeah. But final on Crunchyroll is one that is actually very cool. My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So this one is very good. I prefer Vigilantes over the main story because one, it's short. It completed a long time ago and it's a much more compact story, which means it does not have as many characters running around, and you get a lot more focus on them. So it's like it's a complete story in the My Hero Academia universe with characters that are cool and do not necessarily get really fucked up for no apparent reason. Although there are still very fucked up things that happen in this story. Like the main character, the Crawler, he's great. He starts off as a little zero, becomes oh god, by the end of the story, I think he becomes a hero strong enough to make All For One go, this guy is a top tier threat, if I remember correctly. Which made him like literally change his fucking plans.
Probably the only.
And so it's like a full on like hero story, but based not in, a fucking high school, but just, in the streets as like a normal dude, battles crimes in the streets. I'm not doing it necessarily justice.
But also, I don't think you have to, like, literally somebody popped off in chat, like, Vigilante's the GOAT. Like, it's well known since it was a manga that it's, like, been well liked and very popular, and it is a little bit of a prequel, so, like, yeah, what we've learned is the anime adaptation is still good. It's probably the only thing right now I'm missing out by skimping on Crunchyroll for a little bit.
No, it's very good. Like, I think probably the thing that irks me probably the most about the story overall is my constant complaint. Lucky loves a good romance in those things, and while there are hints of it, nothing actually comes to fruition for anybody, really. Jesus. They like tease it, but don't pay off on it, so I'm just like, Oh yeah, no, the Crawler, well, I definitely like the Crawler more than fucking Deku.
Deku's okay, but he is a typing. He is a typing of a character who's designed to be successful exactly inside of Shonen Jump.
Like, I like the Crawler because, like, before he starts get really into this, he's actually, like, a normal-ass dude, especially in this world. He has a little ability he has a quirk. It just lets him, kind of slide around on his palms and feet. He can go, like, as fast as a bicycle. And it looks a little weird, so it's not, like, super special or anything, but he just lives a normal-ass job, going to college, working in the convenience store, and gets wrapped up in things that are eventually spiral out of control. And, he decides to, nut up instead of shutting up.
Oh, which, honestly, I also think is just, like, there's a lot to be said for, like, the world building of My Hero. I think that, like, the thing of, like, Vigilante is, like, the core story is very clearly that the author wants to write a story that is very shonen manga coded, right?
Right.
So that means we have some trappings, and, like, superhero high school is, like, a cool concept. It's been done a couple of times. But, like, it sounds like the story of the Crawler is much more natural to a world where, we have, like, the weird baby boob, and, like, people start developing mutant powers, basically. It's like, yeah, not everybody's gonna get, Jean Grey head exploding powers or Wolverine infinite Healy bops. And in some comics, I'm pretty sure occasionally Wolverine is butted like a fucking starfish. But, like, some of you are gonna get lame mutant powers.
And 14, if anyone cares right now. I've just been AFK on the moon right now.
Just chilling. I'm good, it's late. But yeah, like, that's the kind of thing where, like, if you had superheroes and supervillains running around, like, some people would just be like, you know what, fuck it. I'll use my superpowers, who cares? Like, aesthetically, I do want to say, especially early on, the way the quirk of like, Deku Inherits works, very cool, because they build up this thing about, the art of self-sacrifice and stuff, and, like, that's really rad. We like that. But it was the kind of thing where, like, I kind of feel like the author had a couple different ways to balance that one out, and it took him a while to get through and decide what the actual like end goal of like it was, because like he couldn't just jump straight to like, well, eventually he just masters the power 100% all the time.
Yeah. No, the thing I like about a vigilante is that the crawler actually has a lot more power that he's grounded for, but he's for reasons he can't use it, and he doesn't even know he has it. So when the stakes get high, shit starts happening. It's like it's just a more natural power up progression than I think what my hero did. Like, if we can find out a way, like if we can get whenever you get your Crunchyroll back, if you decide to get it back, you should definitely check it out. I think.
Oh, I will absolutely. I've always been interested in vigilantes, and I don't think I found a good. I probably should have just read the manga at some point, but I didn't think I had a good line on it. I should hit it up sometime, or maybe I will read the manga. Yeah. I don't know. I've seen it's very scant and very slight, but I saw some people tweeting about fucking Air Gear in the year 2025, so I'm like, man, I need to reread Air Gear again.
That'd be good. Air Gear also got weird at the end, but the beginning to 3/4 mark, fucking phenomenal. Love it.
I think they did a pretty good job of just like, nah, fuck it. We're not leaving anything on the table. We're shooting skates to space. Fuck it. Weeball. Like, Air Gear was already impossibly cool with even its premise. Like, just even like it felt grounded, but even the low level stuff with like the skates was like kind of bullshit. The Air Gears are like basically magic. They're like perpetual motion machines. They describe how they work, but like the action wouldn't work for inline skates, but it's okay. Because they look cool. So like
they look cool.
Then they were just like, yeah, they could shoot fire. Who cares? You can spin your inline skates so fast you can fuck with other people's perception of time.
If you run on your hands enough, you'll be able to shoot blasts of air from your palms.
Your hands get so big that you could manipulate air. Yeah.
Oh
God, what the fuck was how was Agito's gimmick actually described? I think sometimes he actually was just inline skating inside water, which also doesn't work. But sometimes I think it was air pressure.
I don't know. Everyone just had some weird ass gimmick that they fucking shilled, and it worked, I guess, because it was some of the raw shit ever. But fuck,
if you rollerblade good enough, you can shoot sharks out of your rollerblades. Also, actually, that character also, Chad, if you've never read Air Gear, he did actually fight people with like hooks and chains. But also like it was ludicrous. But like I think you said it very, very key. It's kind of like the wrestling that is at the heart of a lot of these sorts of like battle animes of like everybody needs a gimmick because that's how you sell it to the audience and get them invested.
Yeah.
And like, there's so many things that are like so many recurring tropes. God, it reminds me of the day I was thinking about the classics, and I was like, man, I remember like the time from our time, like just the anime thing of like, I think it's fallen out of favor a little, but it was a big thing when I was first getting into anime about the superpowered evil side, right? Like,
yeah, like
Naruto had Demon Fox mode. Eventually Ichigo got going hollow, that kind of stuff. Like that was a real big trope of like nah, we've got scary mode in case we need it. But we don't.
Well, no, like that. You say that in anime. No, that's like been a thing in like media. I remember when I saw Dark Jack and Jack 2, I was just like, oh.
Also true. That was an interesting case of them applying the edge. When did Jack 2 come out? 2003. Jesus. But like, I'm trying to think like what where, because I'm sure there were probably like 90s and even earlier animes where that hit. I mean, actually, you could probably argue, depending on the continuity, Devilman was kind of like that.
Oh no, Devilman was definitely that. It's just that he wasn't so much evil he wasn't in evil mode. He was just, a demon, who was just a good dude.
Yeah, I feel like Dragon Ball, somebody in chat saying it's kind of like how Super Saiyan worked. Dragon Ball kind of lost the plot quickly of just like plateauing at Super Saiyan and beyond. There was like an initial rush going in there, but like technically I think it's more just like writers developed a more practical form of going Great Ape, going Ozaru. Because, like, technically, Dragon Ball and early Z kind of used it like that. Like, once Vegeta showed off that he could become a giant ape, which isn't even an ape, they have tails, they're monkeys, but they consistently have translated it as Great Ape. But, like, once he showed that he could control that, it was like, that's the superpower. But then also, guess what? For shot composition and just like choreo, becoming a giant monkey is hard, guys. Becoming one half of a kaiju fight for your super mode transformation, it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, tropes, baby. But no, I'm definitely down to clone with Vigilantes. I gotta check it out sometime.
So the only other thing that I think I've started watching right now, until someone gives me some suggestion, is on Amazon Prime. There is a series coming out now called I can't remember the proper title, but the gist of it is this country bumpkin old man will become the greatest sword master. It's something like that. Please forgive me if I got it wrong, but it has those words in there. Country bumpkin old man sword master.
Hopefully nobody's gonna fight you on that. Because ain't no chat. I've been on the internet for many years. Ain't no way people at home be typing all that shit out online. You have an abbreviation. I know how you work.
But animation, real good. It's a lot better than I was expecting out of something. Because basically how this story works is there's a old swordsmanship instructor out in the boonies who just teaches a particular sword style. He doesn't seem super fancy or anything. He's just an old man teaching a bunch of kids in his village. It just so happens that a bunch of his kids have gone on to be super famous in the world. And all those kids have realized, wait a minute, our teacher actually kind of kicked ass. Like a lot of ass. And so one of them conspires to get him brought over to the main capital where he can show off his talent to teach the royal knights and whatnot. And apparently a lot of people are in on this. The swordmaster's father is all like, man, why don't you go find a wife and stuff, and constantly trying to get him to leave the dojo. And when he got, taken away the first time, his father immediately found someone else to replace him as the sword instructor and said, you no longer live here. Go to the fucking city. So this old man swordmaster is now living in the city, constantly surrounded by his cute, younger, former pupils who are all beautiful women. Well, they're not all. There was one dude, but he was the dude who got married, had a kid, and is now the new dojo instructor. In the city, it's all cute girls who are former pupils who are now extended to high positions in society, or at least well-off positions in society. Fortunately, the old man seems kind of dense, but in the I'm an old man, what do all these young girls want with me? Oh, they probably really like me because I'm their swordsman instructor kind of thing, which is a believable amount of dense, in my opinion. An old man should not be looking at a young girl and being all like, is this girl into me? Nay, that should not be your first response. Actually, I was having a conversation about this on Manga Dex not too long ago. Speaking of Mama Fan, because Axe brought that up earlier. I find it way too weird in isekais, especially when they when it's like an older man gets isekai'd into another world and suddenly becomes super young again, and then all of a sudden young girls are back on the table. I'm just like, guys, that's weird. That's really fucking weird.
It's a little weird. I mean, I think there's something to be said for the philosophical concept
that
of,
one, yes,
plasticity, and the mind is a plaything of the body. But like most of the time, we're not thinking about these highfalutin concepts of the division between the brain and the soul and the mind and shit. And it's just an excuse.
Well, like, see, here's the thing. There's a difference between attention from women and then attention from teenage girls. Fortunately, in this one, I do believe that most of the girls here are actually adults and whatnot. Some are like in their like mid, I think they're like mostly in their early to like late 20s. But still, from my understanding, right, I think the sword band instructor's in his 40s.
Little bit of an age difference, but not crazy.
Not crazy, but because we were talking, like I said, I was talking about Mama Fan, which is a manga. I do not know the authors, man, but basically the main character really likes this game, who has a bunch of mobs, some heroines, except they all die horribly, so that the protagonist can get with their daughters and have that harem, and eventually got transported to this world and said, you know what? No, fuck the storyline. I'm gonna go save all the mamas and let the fucking lolicon hero have all the young girls. One, he's extremely biased, but two, it's like, no, that makes sense. Generally, if you are like an older person, your interests should generally be like, I'm not gonna say your age, but within a specific bracket, unless there are some really strange some really extenuating circumstances. Like, I'm not gonna Lucky doesn't want to necessarily shill on love or anything, but it should not there are exceptions, not normals. I actually know of a very successful couple that has actually a 20-year age gap in their relationship, but they're perfectly happy together.
Stuff happens, but also, keep around that. You gotta play it by ear. Context is key.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, talking about, like, I'm over 30. I'm like, I wouldn't know what to fucking do if teenage girls were interested in me. That would be like, what would I do with that? We wouldn't have anything in common.
That's all. Like, I just be all like, daddy issues. It's like, I'm pretty sure I can get along with like a woman in their like early 20s, but like, that's like the hard fucking limit. As I get older, that limit's going to keep going up. Eventually, I'm not going to be able to relate to the younger women at all.
Sorry, I will. I've been clicking on Twitter occasionally, and I just saw a really weird one. Sure, it's and I just couldn't hold it in. I had to go. Had to chuckle.
That reminds me of let me go pull it because it made me laugh. I don't think anyone else necessarily giggled at it, but I'll post it here. I had a message that just followed with this.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yes. Thanks, Land of Sight.
But yeah, no, I like it. It's interesting. They put a little effort into the sword fighting, which I also appreciate. It's not like super high or fancy, but you can definitely see like when movements are done. Someone had looked at someone and was like, how do people fight with swords? And put that into the anime, which I appreciate. But yeah, so I would also recommend it. But I do think that is it for anime right now. I don't think anything else has necessarily caught my eye. I haven't seen the new Gundam. I know it's also on Amazon Prime. I should probably watch it.
I have also not checked it out yet.
I hear people saying it's good, but I'm also pretty sure those people are Gundam heads. And they have different values than me when it comes to their Gundam. Yeah, no, the new Gundam... Axe, how is it pronounced? I know you know.
I think I usually people say G-Quartz.
G-Quartz?
But it's, written like... I think I added some extra X's in there.
I know they added some extra U's. It's based on the coding term, which is just a filler term. It's just a space holder. Wild. But yeah, no, it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know how many episodes are out, but it's out there.
Yeah, there's at least a couple.
I heard people saying good things about it, though. A lot of people speculating on it. So I will definitely check that one out at some point. Other than that, no, I think that's it for anime this core. If anything else catches my eye, I'll see what I can do if I ever remember to talk about anime again.
Yeah. It's okay. Occasionally, people will drop a line in the comments and be like, oh yeah, look, you haven't talked about, light novels or manga or anime for like a couple months. Hit us up.
I do appreciate when people are interested in my interests.
People like to check in. I feel like with anime, it's very seasonal.
It is very seasonal.
Literally.
Yeah, no, that's G-Chords, baby.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's supposed to be like GQX, but it's Japanese, so they wouldn't pronounce it like the letters. So is it Gooks? G-Quacks? I've also probably heard people say G-Quacks, but that's obviously like a gag.
G-Quartz or G-Cucks?
Yeah, I'm like G-Quartz. We'll say G-Quartz. All right, well, but if that's Lucky's anime corner done, we've accomplished a robust 3.5 hours.
Woo!
So we will go ahead and wind down because it's almost 2 a.m. and I need to get up from this chair, but I've been too scared since the audio hiccup, to leave my chair. I don't want to fuck anything up, chat. So let's outro. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you've watched this far in the video, give it a like. Fire up your commentos down below about anime, about what you're thinking about Ordeal Call IV banners, whatever. This is your last chance to get your Ordeal Call IV predictions out in text before it happens, or at least before it happens and we record another show. So fire that up. You can join our Discord, as mentioned before. Links in the description of the video page. Make sure you're subbed to the channel to keep getting Let's Talk FGO, wanted videos, and wonderful streams like our upcoming conclusion to Indiana Jones: The Fate of Atlantis. Yays. Yeah, and make sure you ring the bell so you know as we're posting videos, like when I decide to fire the Wanted Live. If you want to give us a little bit of support, you can join our channel memberships to get access to membership badges and emotes. And of course, like I said at the front of the show, you can secure supporting us on Patreon, get access to episodes early in audio format. There's a little $1 a month, or approximately $10 a year. At higher levels, you can participate in polls like Fan Servant Friday and get the Wanted early at the 10 and up level, you can listen to the show get recorded live every week. And at our highest level, you could get a shout out on air like Adam DeHart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos Dragon, JDV9000, Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Sharvor, and Varian the Crow. Thank you very much for your support, patrons of all levels. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week where, once again, it'll be May, so it'll be after Ordeal Call 4 comes out, so we'll have a banner and some stuff. Probably be yelling.
Banners and stuff. Even crazier space dust.
Sorry, chat. We have like 4 stims, and that's it. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.